Dome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This afternoon, the San Francisco 49ers, who have the home field advantage throughout the playoffs, take on the Minnesota Vikings, who were eliminated from the wild card chase last weekend. And good afternoon again, everyone. I'm Dick Stockton. It has been a discouraging year, to be sure, for the Vikings, but Coach Jerry Burns told us yesterday he will not experiment. There'll be no gimmicks today. He is out to try to beat the 49ers this afternoon. And Merlin Olsen, the 49ers, who have the home field, nothing new for them except what are they trying to accomplish today?
Well, Dick, if you're the 49ers, you don't want to spend the next 2 weeks waiting for that first playoff at home explaining how you managed to lose your last 2 games of the season. George Seifert told us yesterday he has to take his share of that loss last week. He said we approached that Saints game as if it were an exhibition. We will not do that against the Vikings today. He'll start Montana. But I have to tell you, the second thing he told us, but we've got to stay healthy. He really has a problem. He's got to keep his players ready for the playoff. He's got to get them back into a winning mode. We will not see Roger Craig or Ronnie Lott today, but the 49ers will be going full speed here today, believe me.
And they certainly do not want to go in with another loss, because only the '67 Green Bay Packers lost its last 2 regular season games and then won the Super Bowl. So that's a historical fact that the Niners would like to avoid. Mike Kofer kicking off. The Vikings will get the ball first, and it'll be taken by Herschel Walker for Minnesota. Penalty marker is thrown, and Walker is tackled at the 26-yard line. And a penalty down. Preliminary signal. It will be against Minnesota. The referee today is Tom White. There is Rich Gannon, who started games 4 through 14
number 58
for the Vikings, and the offensive front, Zimmerman,
down.
McDaniel, Loudermilk, Kalis, and Irwin. Steve Jordan, the tight end. In the backfield, Herschel Walker and Alfred Anderson are the running backs. Anthony Carter starts along with Chris Carter. Hassan Jones will play, although he has a toe injury, and will not start. 1st and 10 following the holding call on the 16. DJ Dozier is in the backfield with Walker as we begin. And it's play action. Good fake to Walker, and a deep pass intended for Chris Carter off his fingertips, and a neat throw by Gannon. Darryl Pollard was covering on that play. The 49ers defensive line, Pierce Holt and Michael Carter, along with Kevin Fagan. That's their base defense. 49er linebackers are Charles Haley, Matt Millen, Keith DeLong, and Bill Romanowski. In the secondary, Darryl Pollard and Don Griffin are the cornerbacks. Johnny Jackson is the free safety. Dave Waymer moved from free safety to strong safety, with Ronnie Lott will move back to his normal free safety position 2 weeks from now.
Pollard with some back problems. They wasted no time to see how well he could run.
Alfred Anderson in the game and in motion on 2nd and 10. Here's Herschel Walker. Michael Carter, the nose tackle, made the tackle.
Michael Carter on the tackle.
Gannon is one of the many Vikings who has had the flu during this week, and he was out of practice on Wednesday. He is still weak, although I talked to him in the locker room just before the game. He said he's feeling a little bit better, but he could hardly talk. He's so stuffed up. You know where that'll hurt him, Dick? It'll hurt him in his scrambling and his energy level late in this game.
We may not see Gannon run as much as he'd like. Out of the shotgun, 3rd down and 9. 4 wide receivers. Steve Jordan moves out as one of them. Tight end. Gannon loses the ball. Picked up by the Niners. Bill Romanowski picks up the fumble, and the 49ers will have the ball on the Minnesota 5-yard line, following an early turnover that puts another frown on Jerry Burns' face.
Gannon was trying to stop that forward throw. He's claiming that he was actually throwing the ball when it went into the ground. Watch him as he drops back out of the shotgun. He gets pressure coming right here from the outside. He starts to step up, tries to pull the ball down, and simply throws it into the ground. I actually believe that you might call that a pass, but it does not look like it's going to be reviewed. Here it is again.
It looked like the ball had slipped out, but I'm not sure if his arm was going back. In any event, we're going to review this. It will be reviewed, Merlin, and it's one of those plays you would have to almost.
Well, they're going to look at it and ask the question, was it actually a legal forward passing motion?
Fritz Graf is the replay official. Another look.
Now, the question is, did he bring it forward in a passing motion? Well, he looks like he's half and half. If he's going to throw it sidearm, that is a passing motion.
You know, one of the questions I think Randall Cunningham had even last week, and that is, you can be faking and it can be pumping. It doesn't mean you were going to throw the ball, and it looked from here as if Gannon was faking the throw.
He's definitely started to spin out of there.
It's ruled as an incomplete pass. Fourth down.
It's an incomplete pass, so the Vikings.
What a huge break early in this ball game, Dick. Jerry Burns said yesterday, very often one or two events early in the game dictate the flow of a game. Now that was one that could have dictated against the Vikings.
So George Seifert's 49ers will get the ball back, but not on the 5-yard line. There's Bob McKittrick, the offensive line coach, explaining to Seifert that Gannon might have been faking a throw. In any event, Harry Newsom will kick, and going back deep is John Taylor for the 49ers. Taylor's been bothered with a sprained left ankle. I don't know how long he'll be back there today. You know, last week the Raiders clicked early on the Vikings with a long pass play, and that set the tone for a Viking defeat.
Certainly did.
Taylor will field the punt in his own territory at the 42-yard line. So Joe Montana starting this game. Suffered that strained abdominal muscle suddenly last week, now back in there. Bubba Paris, Guy McIntyre, Jesse Sapolo, Harris Barton, and Steve Wallace, the offensive front. Brent Jones, the tight end, and Dexter Carter and Tom Rathman, the backfield. Carter playing in place of Craig, who did not dress, and Jerry Rice and John Taylor are the wide receivers. First down on the 44 for San Francisco. First pass to Brent Jones. He gets the ball to midfield, picks up 6 yards. Scott Studwell and Joey Browner make the stop. There is Studwell playing his last game after a brilliant career. The defensive line for the Vikings: Al Noga, Ken Clark, Henry Thomas, and Chris Dolman. Studwell, the middle linebacker, Mark Dusbabek and Mike Merriweather outside. And in the secondary for the Vikings, Carl Lee and Audrey McMillan, who's starting in place of Reggie Rutland. Ken Stills and Joey Browner are the safety. Here's Dexter Carter, and he gets a good opening up the middle and a first down.
Dexter Carter, the ball carrier.
Into Viking territory, a gain of 7 yards. Making the stop, Noga and Studwell.
Got Studwell, one of those Vikes who was sick early in the week, but look at the eyes on him. He knows this is his last ball game. He was out of practice 2 days this week, and I asked him, how many days have you missed practice in your career? He said 5 or 6. You know how sick he was earlier this week.
2 tight ends, including Jamie Williams, who goes in motion for the Niners. Montana fakes, and the pass incomplete. Rice
Montana's pass is incomplete.
was 5 yards deeper than the throw. It'll go as an incompleted pass. Jerry Rice needs 9 receptions for the 100 mark, and that's something that has not been lost on the San Francisco coaches.
Mike Holmgren very simply said, if we can get him the ball as we'd like to today, we'll take him over that 100 mark.
Second and 10.
On 2nd and 10, Michael Brim goes in as a nickel defensive back for Minnesota. How successful has Montana been against the Vikings? 7 TDs, no interceptions. Here's Carter. Gets hit, but moves inside the 40-yard line.
Dexter Carter, the ball
A
carrier.
gain of 4 yards. Chris Dolman that
Dolman on the
time.
tackle.
Roger Craig on the sideline, but both he and Ronnie Lott running well on the sideline as the 49ers practiced yesterday. They said they will be ready. They got back into that lineup. In fact, again, if this were a critical game, both could be playing today. There's no sense in that. You need them in the playoffs.
Especially on artificial turf. You don't want to take any chances with the knee. 3rd down and 6. Harry Sidney in the game for San Francisco. Montana steps up and completes the pass to Sidney, and he gets to the 30, more than enough for the first down, a pickup of 9 yards. Mike Merriweather and Joey Browner that time. So the Niners move on their first possession and have the ball on the 30-yard line of the Vikings.
You've got to be able to get pressure in Joe Montana's face. If you don't get someone there, he can simply step up, and he has such wonderful vision of the field. he just gets up and unloads that football as he did in that situation, even though Henry Thomas was hanging all over it.
49ers have not been that impressive in scoring touchdowns in first quarters this year. Here is Dexter Carter. Ooh, and he gets knocked back by the veteran Ken Clark. Carter's not a big fella, but Clark is.
That's the oldest defensive tackle in the NFL at 34 years of age. Cut earlier this year, brought back after the injuries to Millard. Look at him in the middle of your screen, number 71. He drifts outside and says hello to the rookie, Michael Carter. Pow! Carter was probably about 12 years old. Dexter Carter was probably about 12 years old when he came into the league.
Now he's about 8.
He's back to his youth.
Second down and 13. 6 defensive backs for the 49ers. For the Vikings, Montana with a penalty marker down, and the pass is knocked away by Mike Merriweather. It was intended for Dexter Carter, but a flag and a penalty against San Francisco.
Looked like it probably would be a holding call against Steve Wallace, protecting on the near side. They forced Montana to go to his left. He hates that. He wants to roll right.
Hands to the face. Number 74 offense. 10 yards. Still second down.
Steve Wallace, your man.
Working on Al Noga, one of the quickest of defensive ends, also one of the smallest. One of the people they'll be running out there today. There's Noga. At about 248 pounds, and I doubt that he holds all of that late in the year. Some players have trouble keeping their weight up late in the year. A few, as you'll see later in this broadcast, have trouble keeping their weight down late in the year.
Second down and 23. Back to the 43-yard line, and Montana will use a timeout right here. So the Minnesota Vikings finishing up a dismal year defending against the 49ers. Dick Stockton and Merlin Olsen back at the Metrodome. That much time remaining in the first quarter. No score. Vikings punted on their first possession. The 49ers had good field position. But now that because of a penalty, they have been set way back, and it'll be second down and 23 after Joe Montana called a timeout.
This is where Montana shows his patience. They'll probably try and pick up part of the yardage rather than going for the whole 20-plus.
Vikings have 5 defensive backs playing man-to-man. Montana under pressure, and a loss. And I got to think Henry Thomas, and a 3-yard loss, that every time Joe Montana is pressured and goes down, everyone on the San Francisco side has got to hold their collective breath.
No question about that. This is your money ticket right here. Number 16, Joe Montana. And you've got to wonder how much better any team in the league would be if they had Montana on their side of the line. Montana right there with a shot to the legs by Dolman, but he is up very quickly. Pick it up on third and even longer now with the sack.
26 to be exact. When the final chapter is written on the Vikings, the loss of Keith Millard will loom as big a reason as any why they have problems. Montana under pressure, and the pass is caught by Brent Jones, the tight end. They just got enough to make it close. Gain of 10 yards out of field goal range. And that will bring up fourth down as Studwell and Joey Browner make the tackle.
Browner slow getting up off the ground, but he is up. Maybe took a shot to the stomach. You see him, I think, just got his air knocked out. Ooh. He said he's on his way to Paris with his wife after this ball game. I'm sure one of the reasons they don't know much about American football, they won't be saying, Joey, what's wrong with the Vikings? This has been a horrible year for them. They're a proud team, but they have played some lousy football during this season.
Yeah, he won't have to answer any of those questions.
Just no speaking the language.
Barry Hilton back to kick, and he has been struggling. He had a terrible game last week. Leo Lewis is back for the Vikings.
Go right into the end zone.
And a touchback. Minnesota will get a chance on the 20-yard line. There's that offensive line. 36-yard punt by Helton. We'll be back to the Metrodome after this.
On critical third downs, you've got to cover Jerry Rice. Michael Brim, number 44, does an excellent job in man-to-man coverage here. Watch him getting a good cushion and then driving inside. But you'll also notice there's protection deep for him as well. Fullington right there, the safety, waiting for Rice as he broke to the inside.
Vikings with a first down on the 20-yard line. Just under 9 minutes to go in a scoreless first quarter. Pitches to Herschel Walker. Alfred Anderson blocking in front of him. And a gain of about a yard. Right now, for an update, let's check in with Greg Gumbel in New York. Gregory?
Well, Dick, in New England, the Giants are on the board first. Surprise, surprise. Jeff Hostetler to Dave Meggett, 17 yards. And with the point after, the Giants are up 7-0. Let's go back to the Metrodome.
All right, Greg, and like the 49ers, the Giants want to end up on an upbeat note. Bears could not do it yesterday against Kansas City. Right here, 0-0, second down and 9 for Minnesota. Pass out to Herschel Walker. Up by Romanowski. And is ridden out of bounds, just shy of the first down marker by about a yard. Don Griffin was defending Walker.
This is the kind of play that you have to try to work Herschel Walker into. He needs a lane to run. He's not the kind of guy who's going to shift gears and make changes quickly. But as he started outside on that play, there was room to run. And if he can get his shoulders square to the line and head upfield, he's going to run over some people. But if he has to dodge folks, he's the one that's in trouble.
Questions as to what will be the makeup of the Vikings from the coaching staff, even to some of the players, and Walker is one of those in question for next year. Third down and 1. Alfred Anderson is stopped short. He does not get the necessary yardage, and Kevin Fagan undercut him. And that will bring up fourth down, and Minnesota can't get that yard.
This 49er front seven, and particularly those linemen up front, have just had a great year. Fagan and Pierce Holt. Michael Carter, by the way, who's not playing at this moment. Kugler is in his place, and I'm sure that's partly because of this turf and the arch problems that he has had earlier in the year.
Harry Newsome will kick, and going back this time is Eric Davis, who performed well as a punt returner in the second half last week against New Orleans. And a booming punt by Newsome, a beauty. And the kick will bounce out of bounds. Great kick that time by Newsome will have the 49ers inside the 25. So a 46-yard kick by Newsome, and it'll be 49er ball when we return to Minneapolis. No score here in Minnesota. Charles Haley, who leads the NFC with 15 quarterback sacks. Sellout crowd, a few no-shows, but not that many. They're out here to see the world champions. And a first down for the Niners on their 25. Montana to the air, and his pass intended for John Taylor, and double covered that time by Michael Brim and Scott Studwell, the linebacker.
Taylor will draw a lot of bodies here short as Rice went deep. Brim again misses the break here, but gets right back inside, and Studwell had come all the way out from his linebacking position to put pressure on John Taylor. There's Michael Brim, one of the youngsters in this secondary. They got a couple of defensive backs who are approaching that cutoff age. Browner at 30, Redmond, a young one as well. They've had a couple of corners play well this year for them.
Dexter Carter tries to go outside behind the block of Harris Barton, but Joey Browner and again Scott Studwell in on the play.
In the absence of Roger Craig, Dexter Carter has taken more and more of the load in the last few weeks, and he's done a fine job of running the football. But he is not a big back. 170, 175 pounds, cannot take a lot of the pounding. So they brought Keith Henderson back into the roster after a knee injury early in the year. We'll see a lot of him in this ballgame. They need the big back to pound with.
Third down and 8. Deep drop this time by Montana, and his pass After intense heat by the Minnesota defense is incomplete, intended for Brent Jones. Al Noga that time came in strong.
Henry Thomas there as well. There's Thomas slow up off the ball. Watch the heat on Montana. Noga will come from this side, 99. Thomas from the tackle on the other side, and right there the sandwich. So often we don't see that pounding by the quarterbacks, but they're more vulnerable there than they are when they're sacked.
And Thomas limps off the field. Barry Helton will kick, and Leo Lewis back deep for Minnesota. Low kick. Lewis with a return opportunity. And he made the most of very little. Good coverage downfield by the 49ers. 6-yard return, but good field position. Wesley Walls on the stop. Well, there's Henry Thomas shaken up on the sideline for Minnesota, a team that has had to do without their ace, Keith Millard, this year.
Look at the difference in the performance by these defensive linemen, 1989 as opposed to 90. And of course, the big number there is Millard. His injury early took away his presence. There he is on the sideline, and the chemistry of this line changed. You had to move Thomas from nose tackle to Millard's position, and it has been very, very difficult for him.
1st and 10 on the Viking 45. Gannon's pass incomplete. Chris Carter was the closest man to him, to the ball.
Well, either Gannon was right and Jordan was wrong, or Jordan was right and Gannon was wrong. The read incorrect by either the quarterback or the tight end on that last play.
Ronnie Lott, who will be playing in 2 weeks when the 49ers play their divisional playoff game. They are off next week, of course, getting that bye. Lott and Craig both nursing knee problems. 2nd down and 10 for the Vikings with 5:44 remaining. No score here in the first quarter. Dozier goes in motion. Gannon's pass is caught by Anthony Carter, and that'll be good enough for a Minnesota first down. Don Griffin defending on the play. So Carter now has caught a pass in 80 straight games. The record was Ahmad Rashad at 78. Carter broke it last week.
Don Griffin getting more and more man-to-man responsibility on this defense. He said, hey, it's dirty work, but somebody's got to do it. It's especially difficult against as talented a receiver as Anthony Carter. And AC picking up a big first down right there.
8 touchdown receptions for Carter this year. Having a big season, and a first down on the 49ers 44. The pitch is to Walker. Walker picked his spots and got inside the 40-yard line. A gain of 5 for Herschel Walker. Dallas and Atlanta no score in the first quarter. Cleveland and Cincinnati no score either. Slow getting up now. A 49er seems to be shaken up, I think. He's not hurt.
That Merlin at the bottom of that stack, maybe chewing on somebody's leg.
I think it was Kirk Loudermilk's leg.
He may have had Loudermilk. This is a guy who loves to talk. He brought a lot of that toughness with him. The Raiders cut him loose. He's fit in beautifully here with this San Francisco 49er defense. And he never shuts up on the field.
2nd down and 5 on the 39. Play action. Getting away from Haley is Gannon, and his pass is caught. And a fine catch by Steve Jordan, and a gain of 24 yards and a first down with Waymer covering.
Jordan coming from that tight end position has the moves of a big wide receiver. Watch him now as he heads upfield. Right-hand side of your screen, number 83, Charles Haley with great pressure there, but Gannon got away from him. And there is Jordan. Time is such a great equalizer in that secondary. What a tremendous catch by Steve Jordan.
One of the guys the Vikings want to get the ball to today. And a first down on the 14 of the 49ers, and the Vikings threaten. Gannon will run it. And a tackle by Keith DeLong, who is having a terrific season, playing regularly with Von Horst and Walter out of action. DeLong has played well, and he made a good open field tackle.
Gannon can run a 4.5 40, and he does not look nearly that fast. I think that flu hurting him here. You see him straining as he tries to get away from DeLong. No way. DeLong not that fast from the inside, able to corral him.
Picked up only 2 yards. Second down and 8. No score, less than 3.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Penalty marker down.
Movement in the offensive line.
False start. 69 offense. 5 yards. Still second down.
Right guard Todd Kalis, and of course these penalties really kill you when you've got the momentum going.
Todd Kalis right here. You'll get a chance to watch him as he makes an early movement, and I think what happened is that Gannon was trying to call an audible and obviously had a quick count called. Kalis simply couldn't stop.
So that'll bring up second down and 13. Vikings on the 17-yard line of San Francisco. Gannon with a fade pattern to Chris Carter, and covered well by Don Griffin as the ball is thrown out of the end zone.
That's the kind of pattern that Chris Carter caught so well as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles team, and they've utilized him well here with the same kind of throw. But he got great coverage from Griffin, and we mentioned how much more man-to-man Griffin is using. Here we go. Here's Carter right here. Here's Griffin. Watch him now as he just tries to fade it in, and they'll try and throw the ball in over the top. But Griffin is going to stay right with him. Look at that lock-on man-to-man coverage. Excellent coverage, and also some help from the safety deep.
Third down and 13, and Gannon out of the shotgun. Jordan, one of those wide receivers. Gannon fires, and it's knocked away. And let's see if we have a face guarding call against Kevin Lewis of the 49ers. The pass was intended for Anthony Carter.
I think Kevin Lewis bumped Carter just before that ball arrived, and he never looked back. The rule says if you look back and bump the man, you get some latitude there. But he never did turn back toward the quarterback. Here it is, right at the end of the play. Number 45, Kevin Lewis right there, and no question, he bumps without looking back. Pushes Carter off the ball. He also gets some help in there from Griffin, but the bump was by 45.
There is no penalty on the play. Fourth down.
So
Okay.
apparently there was no bump, and Gannon with a few words of his own for Tom White.
One of the other officials apparently saying he was playing the ball legitimately. Well, that's a big break for the San Francisco 49ers. The penalty would have put it on the 1-yard line.
Each team has had a break. The Vikings did not fumble earlier on an incompleted pass call, and now this one. And Fuad Reves, who is 10 of 11 since being signed by the Vikings, will attempt a 34-yard field goal attempt. Harry Newsome, the punter, the holder. High snap. But this kick's good, and the Vikings score first. There has been some heated exchanges between the Vikings and the 49ers on several occasions so far in this first quarter. But on the board, it shows Minnesota 3 and San Francisco nothing.
Chris Foot's snap is high. Harry Newsome goes up and grabs it, and watch Reves hesitate and do a great job of changing the tempo of the kick right there. Tremendous work by holder and kicker. Pick up that 3 points.
Vikings lead 3-0, and Reves will kick off back deep for the 49ers. Spencer Tillman and Dexter Carter. Headed over toward Carter's direction. On the 3, Dexter Carter. Driven out of bounds by Michael Brim after a return of 27 yards. Dick Stockton and Merlin Olsen here at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. -10 outside. Inside it's comfortable, and the Vikings trying to salvage A very disappointing season, leading the San Francisco 49ers 3-0 on Fuad Reves' 34-yard field goal. We have 2:31 remaining in the first quarter. The Carters
square.
right. Joe Montana, who is scheduled to play the first half, maybe less, is in there, first down on the 31, and they give this to Dexter Carter. He picks up about 3 yards. Mike Merriweather, with Ken Clark's help, in on the play. There's Steve Young, who played all the way last week in a losing cause as the 49ers lost for only the second time this year.
You always see that second quarterback with his back in there, and the reason for that, they shield the quarterback from the opposite sideline. They're afraid of people picking up the signals, so they always try and get someone between the quarterback, and Steve Bono here, between the quarterback and the quarterback who's signaling.
Second down and 7. Carter trying to go outside. Woo, and gets the first down. Good hard running by Dexter Carter. Carl Lee on the stop after a gain of 9 yards. But right now we have an update for you, so let's check in again with Greg Gumbel.
All right, Dick, in Atlanta, first quarter winding down. The blitz gets to Babe Laufenberg, who puts it up for grabs, and Brian Jordan of the Falcons comes down with it. They are still scoreless, the Cowboys and the Falcons. Dallas needs a win to gain the playoffs. If they stumble today, the Saints get a chance tomorrow night. Dick?
All right, Greg, that would sure open the door for New Orleans. Babe Laufenberg in a tough spot today, and as are the Cowboys. First down for the 49ers on their 43. Carter, and Ken Clark stops him cold for no gain.
That's Carter's 7th carry for 23 yards. At this pace, well, we know he's not going to continue at this pace. He's not big enough to stand up to that pounding. He will be used very often, most effectively, in the third and fourth quarter when the defense, and particularly the big men, begin to tire because he is so quick. There's Floyd Peters, the bald-headed one on the sideline. What a grand career he has had as he has honed some of the best defenses in football.
In many, many cities, for sure. Less than 30 seconds to go in the first quarter. Second down and 8. Montana goes the other way and is trying to get it to Jamie Williams, but Chris Dolman got a hand on that and deflected the pass, so that'll be an incompletion and third down coming up.
It's been a discouraging year for Chris Dolman. With the absence of Millard, he has drawn 2 or 3 blockers on each play. Watch him here trying to get around. That's 2 people in number 77, Paris. And there's Jamie Williams. Now back inside, and you got to go back into Paris. What a frustrating day for Dolman. But what does he do? Jumps up and gets a piece of the football. Sometimes you fall into one.
Dolman leading with 10 sacks for the Vikings. Third down and 8. Mike Wilson in the game for the first time in motion. Montana completes his pass to Ron Lewis, and Lewis is stopped short by a couple of yards, and the 49ers will have to kick. Carl Lee made the stop after a 6-yard gain, and that will do for the first quarter. And that is the end of the first quarter here at the Metrodome with the score. The Vikings 3 and the 49ers nothing. Beginning of the second quarter here at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. The San Francisco 49ers trying to go into the playoffs with a win, trail the Minnesota Vikings 3-0. Dick Stockton along with Merlin Olsen here. And the 49ers have a 4th down and 2 and punting. Barry Helton. Leo Lewis to receive the end-over-end kick on the 15. Once again, the 49ers special teams coverage has been exemplary. 9-yard return.
If you're at home and asking about Jerry Rice, watch him right here as he heads downfield. He's going to have man-to-man protection on this play, but as Montana is forced out to the right, Brim picks him up deep. Look at this, he's open. He's waving his hand, but Montana had been pushed out to the right, had pressure. He could not spot the open Rice downfield.
So there are a lot of ways to keep the 49ers from getting the ball to Jerry Rice, and a lot of it is to confuse Montana at the line of scrimmage. That's Floyd Peters. You mentioned all the places he had been, San Francisco, Detroit, St. Louis. He'd like to be a head coach, and he says time is beginning to run out.
Yeah, he is one of those grab you by the throat kind of coaches, the kind of guy you love to have take a hold of your team and lift them up by the bootstraps.
First down on the 25, and a pass caught by Steve Jordan. They got the tight end open again, and a gain of 16 yards. Johnny Jackson on the tackle to the 41-yard line.
Jordan, a civil engineer, last year spent the off-season working on the Timberwolves arena. He'll go back to work again on another building project. But right now, he's busy working on the secondary of the 49ers. And he's an important cog in this machinery. They said early in the year they wanted him more involved in the offense. He's got a few more passes, but not a lot.
First and 10 on the 41-yard line.
221.
Here's Herschel Walker. And Walker gets close to the first down and may have it. He does. A 12-yard pickup with Pollard on the stop. And right now, for another update, here's Greg Gumbel. Greg?
All right, Dick, in Atlanta, still no score. Greg Davis of the Falcons from 44 yards out is just wide to the right. They are scoreless in the second quarter. Dallas and Atlanta, Dick.
Cowboys are hanging on, trying to get into the playoffs with a victory. And Babe Laufenberg at the helm today. We'll be watching that one closely. First and 10 for the Vikings on the San Francisco 47. Play action. Gannon overthrows Carter. Griffin was covering on the play. Coming up in the second half of our CBS doubleheader, the Detroit Lions will try to spoil the Seattle Seahawks bid to become a wild card team in the AFC playoffs. So it's run and shoot. Barry Sanders against the Seahawks.
And the Seahawks with one of the finest and most complex nickel packages on defense in the NFL. That's going to be an interesting matchup.
Indoors like this one is, and we're kind of grateful for that.
I'm a purist, Dick Stockton, but I'm glad we're not out there today. I like the game on the natural turf and in the weather, but not when it's this cold.
Not minus 40 wind chill factor, that's for sure. Second down and 10. Walker split out wide right. Gannon looking left, however, and unable to hold on is Jordan. Romanowski was right with him.
Romanowski, one of the finest coverage linebackers in the NFL. You get a chance to see number 53 right here. Watch him as he works to the outside on Jordan. A chance to see him here in action. And Romanowski is one of those deceptive players. You see him on the street or in the locker room, you say, are you sure this guy's a linebacker? Boy, he plays like a linebacker. He's got great football instincts.
And we might see him at some defensive back play today as well.
Yes, with the injuries they've had, he may end up having to play in the secondary some.
Third down and 10. Low snap to Gannon that time. Fires crossfield. Hassan Jones, the closest man to him.
Gannon upset, I think angry, because Anthony Carter did not break deep when he rolled out to the right. He just flipped it cross court, tried to get it over to Hassan Jones, but threw it a little too far.
Cross court, you've been in too many Timberwolves games, Merlin. I'm surprised at you. I didn't know you were a hardwood fan.
Oh, yeah. I'm always out there on the hardwood. Got the bad knees to show it, too.
Harry Newsome, the kick, and Eric Davis back deep for the 49ers. 3-0 in favor of Minnesota early here in the second quarter. Fair catch called for by Davis on the 16. That was a 31-yard kick. Steve Jordan's been a busy man so far today, and we'll take a break. We'll be back. Let's take a look at the NFC playoff picture. Of course, the Cowboys can clinch a wild card with a win or a Saints loss. But if Dallas doesn't win and New Orleans win, the Saints are in. And whoever wins will go on against the Chicago Bears next week. And certainly, Merlin, the Bears are not finishing with a blaze of glory, losing yesterday and going 11-5. Who would be a better matchup, Dallas or New Orleans for the Bears?
I think the concern that Mike Ditka had yesterday, he voiced it after the game. He said, we've always played well at home. They did not play that well at home yesterday, and I think they're concerned about the quality of their play, just as the 49ers have to be here. They have had a sluggish first half in this ballgame so far, and this is not what George Seifert wanted. He wanted them to come out, light it up, show the kind of class that they had early in this year, and then allow him to start taking his players out of the game. It hasn't happened.
Sooner they open up a big lead, the sooner they can take out some of the big people that they're going to need down the line. Joe Montana on first down gets hit from behind. Fred Jones was the intended receiver. The 49ers have struggled offensively in their first 3 possessions of the game.
Well, anytime you show punt, punt, and punt, you know that you're not burning up the scoreboard, and you obviously know you're not doing well. The thing that they're also doing is encouraging this Viking team. This is their last game of the season. They know it. They've got the cars parked. They got the tickets in their pocket. You jump on them early in this game, it's not going to be that difficult. Right now, you're just saying, hey, you want it? Come get it.
Montana has completed only 1 of his last 5. This is a running play to Tom Rathman, who gets a big hole, fumbles. It's still loose.
Rathman may have gotten it back. No, not Rathman. Sapolo, Jesse Sapolo.
George Seifert cannot like what he has seen thus far. And right now, Steve Wallace trying to get in and cast his boat. It was a great running play. Slicing off right tackle was Rathman, but he coughed it up, picked up 16 yards. Let's see if it's still 49ers ball. And it is.
4 big fumbles in that game last week. They didn't want to see that again today. There's Rathman going back against the grain. They were able to get the quick trap inside. Berry knocked the ball loose, number 50. Browner has it, but watch him lose it right there. Gets underneath him. Brent Jones, number 84. McIntyre, Sapolo, 61. All with a hand. I think it was Jones who eventually came up with it at the bottom of that stack.
Berry hit him. Stills helped to knock it away, but the 49ers pick up 16 yards as a result of all of that and have a first down on their 38-yard line.
I think they're going to review that play to see if maybe Joey Browner didn't have possession of that ball. He put his hand on that football momentarily and was touched and on the ground.
First down, San Francisco.
Well, they're saying he did not have possession of it, so they're giving it back to the 49ers. And you think those are hard jaws on Seifert's?
You saw how upset he was at the end on the fumble by Carter last week. Gets 2 yards before Ken Clark wraps him up. Wade Wilson and Keith Millard.
Berry on the tackle.
Rick Fenny, that is. Fenny and Alan Rice, both on injured reserve with knee injuries. So that's why we'll see more of DJ Dozier today. And on the ground where the 49ers have struggled this year, they have 48 yards to the Vikings 21. John Randall has replaced Henry Thomas, who was shaken up earlier in the game. 2nd down and 8. Montana swings it out and Carter drops the ball. So right now the 49ers are out of sync offensively. And they've got a week off coming up.
As you get ready for the playoffs, Dick, they don't give you any credit for all those wins early in the year. It's a 1-game win or die situation. Seifert knows that. These 49ers have handled the playoffs beautifully. They have played their best football in the last 2 years in the playoffs. And they don't look like they're getting ready to kind of play that kind of football right now.
No, they don't. 3rd down and 8. Montana gets away from danger, and he completes it to Ron Lewis out of bounds, but short of the first down by about a yard. That's all. Chris Dolman put great pressure in on the pass completed to Ron Lewis.
Dolman working right here on Bubba Paris is going to drive around right on this play. He's the man that gets to Montana, gets inside, pushes over the top, but Bubba's still there, was able to keep him away from the tackle. Montana getting the completion, but not enough for the first down.
Number 87, Leo Lewis.
They missed by a yard, so Barry Helton in to kick again, and back deep to Leo Lewis. Came home to the Vikings. He had played here in Minnesota many years. Then the Browns had him. Now he's back with Minnesota. Chance to return it on the run. And Lewis is stopped, and Wesley Walls with a fine special teams play. That's been the best part of the San Francisco team.
Vikings will start from their 25. Timeout on the field.
Vikings lead the 49ers 3-0, and it's been a dry day for Jerry Rice, who has yet to catch a pass.
Mike Holmgren, their offensive coordinator for the 49ers, said they always try and get him the ball early because he tends to get frustrated and will tend to push himself off the line, get out of sync with the offense as he tries to get open. There's Mike Holmgren up in the center of the booth upstairs for the coaches. He's the one that will be communicating with George Seifert on the sideline, sending down the offensive plays.
Vikings with a first down on the 25. 11:19 to go in the first half. Herschel Walker. That play last time netted 16 yards. Only a couple this time. Darrell Pollard on the stop. Well, join CBS Sports tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern, for the John Hancock Bowl from the Sun Bowl in El Paso, Michigan State and Southern Cal.
Now, Michigan State has won 5 in a row. They're hot, and USC will be playing in their 900th college football game. Woo.
Great tradition there. And then on New Year's Day, the 55th Mobile Cotton Bowl Classic from Dallas. Third-ranked Texas takes on fourth-rated Miami.
Chance for somebody to have a real look as the #1 team in the country.
Yeah, that's a great matchup. Second down and 7. Gannon goes down for the first time today. Loss of 6 yards. Getting up slowly was Fagan. He gets credit for the sack.
A chance to watch this play develop. Watch the stunt here between Pierce Holt and Haley coming in from the outside. They get tremendous pressure out of this stunt. Holt goes outside, and Haley bursts in over the top to shut down the pocket. Gannon had to step up. There was no time. He didn't step up. He got run over by a flying truck there. Pierce Holt has had an outstanding year, as has Charles Haley.
Good teamwork. Fagan got credit for it, but other people helped out. Third down and 12. Gannon up the middle. Chris Carter with the reception. But he'll be 9 yards short of a first down as Eric Davis makes the tackle. Pickup of only 2 yards.
Davis on the tackle. It is 4th down.
So it'll be 4th down, and the Vikings will have to kick it again, leading 3-0 on Fuad Reves' field goal late in the first quarter.
49ers offensive futility continues.
Number 25, Eric Davis, 49ers.
They get a chance here to pick it back up.
Eric Davis is back. Newsom will kick. Newsom has punted well thus far. And another fine kick. Fair catch called for by Davis. No return that time following a 37-yard punt. 49ers trailing 3-0. Get another chance.
Tires Plus can't give you the lowest tire.
The Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where the Vikings conclude their season and lead the 49ers 3-0 with 9:14 to go in the second quarter. This is Dick Stockton along with Merlin Olsen. Fuad Reves' field goal, the only scoring thus far in the game. The Vikings, if they lose this game, will finish last in the NFC Central. Many had picked them to win it. 49ers have the home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. First down on the 39. Up the middle is Brent Jones for 9 yards. Ray Berry on the stop.
To Brent Jones. Berry on the tackle.
Brent Jones, a couple of weeks ago against the Los Angeles Rams, knocked unconscious, fumbled again last week on the same kind of pattern. Hurry up offense by Montana.
Second down and 1. The pass to Carter. He's got the first down. Fumbles the ball into Viking territory.
To Dexter Carter.
Recovered by the 49ers. So they've had a couple of close calls on
they
fumbles
have had
today.
a couple of great breaks. Dexter Carter frustrated by the 2 fumbles that were so costly last week. One of them ending the opportunity for a score down on the 20-yard line of the New Orleans Saints. He said he took full responsibility for that.
Brent Jones recovered that fumble. Another quick huddle. Jerry Rice catches his first pass of the game and is short of a first down by less than a yard. Michael Brim covering. So finally they break the drought to Rice.
You saw him shaking his head. He finally got his first of the day as they quickly line up again, kind of trying to get themselves to generate some enthusiasm with this hurry-up offense.
2nd and 1. Montana going deep for John Taylor. And a fine defensive play by Carl Lee. One of the big pluses for the Vikings have been the play of their cornerbacks, including Carl Lee this year.
Tremendous coverage, man-to-man. This Minnesota Viking team plays a lot of man-to-man, and this man right here, Carl Lee, one of the best. He gets a bad break there, doesn't get the bump, but watch him now. And as he comes down, he's going to raise the right hand. He can raise one hand, but not both if he's going to wave them. And at the last second, sticking that hand in to bat the football away. Reading the eyes of the receiver. Great job, Carl Lee.
Going to the Pro Bowl. 3rd and 1, and the 49ers will not get it. Dexter Carter. And let's see where they spot the ball. Henry Thomas, who limped off the field earlier in the first quarter, back there to wrap up Carter, and that'll bring up a 4th down.
Good surge by the defense, but this is where you miss that bigger back. A Roger Craig with the stronger legs may have been able to pull through and make that play. Maybe not. Henry Thomas is a pretty strong nose man. He nailed him and took him down.
It is 4th down, and Thomas leading the charge, and the 49ers will kick. Talk about the hurry-up offense. The 49ers started last Sunday's game against the Saints with a no-huddle offense. Helton kicking and Leo Lewis deep. Going for the corner is Helton, and he'll get it there, but not as deep as he wanted it.
He's had another ugly day of kicking the football.
They're going to mark the ball. They still haven't picked it. It'll be around the 20-yard line.
There's a timeout on the field.
Vikings ball still leading 3-0. And in the secondary, Dave Waymer moved over to the strong safety position today.
He'd had to move over to the free safety when Lott left and has been calling the signals. There's Lott on the sideline. Ronnie Lott said that Waymer has a good case as the MVP for this defense. Has played so many important positions, so many spot roles, and has been a starter in his absence. He's just had a great year. Tremendous plan B pickup for the 49ers.
First down on the 21 for Minnesota. Play fake. Gannon going to the sideline to Anthony Carter, and Carter makes the catch. He timed it perfectly. Darryl Pollard was on his back, and that'll be good enough for a Viking first down.
The official on the sideline signaling that although his feet did not come down in bounds, that he was pushed out on that play. Watch the play on the sideline. You see the shove from Pollard, and the feet will come down, one in and one on the line, but it does not matter because he would have come in had he not been shoved.
Actually, he looked like he got both.
Maybe got him in anyway.
First down on the 33. It's going to be against the 49ers, I believe.
Gannon getting a hard count that
Kugler
got Kugler to
Approach
count.
minute, number 67 defense, 5 yards.
Kugler is only 255 pounds. I don't know if we got another nose tackle in the league that small. He's really undersized and filling in there. He was the guy that got sprayed with the well, they said deodorant last week.
So you feel that Kugler is a lot smaller than Michael Carter?
Just a mite smaller. Well, there's someone who's enjoying the first half of this ball game.
1st and 5 following the penalty, and the pitch to Herschel Walker. He's got the first down, going wide and out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Chased there by both Keith DeLong and Johnny Jackson. Walker picks up 7 yards. All he wants to do, if you ask him, is carry the ball a lot more. And the question is, talking to Jerry Burns yesterday, is whether Walker will necessarily fit into Burns' plans if Jerry is back next year.
He has had a hard time here in Minnesota getting up to the kind of numbers. Look at the numbers, 87, 133 yards, a steady decline for Walker. But he says here in the papers that if they don't give him the guarantees that he's going to be a bigger part of the offense, he'll go through the free agency and leave.
1st and 10 on the 45. DJ Dozier with 2 yards on the play. Dennis Brown and Bill Romanowski that time. So our first look at Dozier, who had a good year in the New York Mets minor league system as an outfielder, and the Vikings are high on him. They want him to stick to football.
Dozier, a #1 draft pick back in '87, refused to come in, said he did not want to play behind Herschel Walker. He wanted to be traded. They would not trade him. They brought him in. They've had the 2 of them in the same backfield here today, trying to get some big back power.
Total offense is dead even. 2nd down and 8. Alfred Anderson in motion. Flip it out to Walker. He beats DeLong outside, and Herschel Walker with a big play.
Dave Waymer, hello. Herschel put the helmet right in Dave Waymer's chest, and that's not a good matchup. If you can get Walker isolated man-to-man on a linebacker like DeLong, a chance to watch Herschel swinging out of there. Here's DeLong right here. Watch him as he swings out to try and take a hold of Walker. That's not a fair match. But watch the end of this play. The helmet down, and bam! Waymer takes about a 5-yard ride.
An 18-yard pickup. So DeLong and Waymer are both shaking their heads, but Waymer more so. And a 1st down on the 35 of the 49ers. Here's Walker. He's got a hole and goes outside. Jackson runs him out of bounds, but not before Herschel Walker picks up 12 more.
If you give Herschel Walker a lane to run and give him room to get started, he's tremendous. Nice lead block here by DJ Dozier, number 42. Todd Kalis, 69, in front of him to push on Merlin. But when Walker can get upfield and get started and use that tremendous speed and power, he is tough to handle. It's in the area of quickness that he suffers.
And a 1st down on the San Francisco 23. They go to Walker again.
Walker, the ball carrier.
Here's Holt on the stop. Just under 4 minutes remaining in the 1st half, and the Minnesota Vikings with their most impressive drive, and Herschel Walker doing most of it.
Walker running up behind Randall McDaniel, Pro Bowl lineman, Gary Zimmerman, and Kirk Loudermilk. That left side of the offensive line has been the strong side. They really haven't gotten great performance out of Kalis and Irwin on the other side.
Walker has gained 44 yards rushing. His best this year was 99 against the Seahawks. 2nd down and 8. The pitch to Walker, and he throws the ball to Dozier. And got hit in the process, but DJ Dozier has another 1st down inside the 10.
Reflex action, Herschel Walker. Dave Waymer right into his legs. Watch it. Walker will come from his tailback position. Waymer right there takes his feet out, but he just flipped that football, and Dozier with a great catch.
This was a planned play, a halfback option throw, and 1st and goal on the 9-yard line for the Vikings. The pitch is to Walker. Touchdown, Minnesota. Herschel Walker with a 9-yard touchdown run.
Kevin Fagan, number 75, has an opportunity to stop Walker right there. But Walker, once he gets those shoulders square, is impossible to stop. Waymer had a shot, couldn't touch him. Merlin is dragged into the end zone.
5th touchdown on the ground this year for Herschel Walker. It is 9-0, the Vikings. Juan Revez makes it 10-0, Minnesota. And the Vikings, with nothing to play for today, lead the San Francisco 49ers 10-0 with 2:40 remaining in the 1st half.
You always talk about the incidental things, the things you're playing for when a season has gone haywire. personal pride, a lot of the old cliches. But when you're a professional athlete, and when you're going to have to spend this whole year explaining what's wrong with the Minnesota Vikings, as Herschel Walker is, you've got to take pride if you can just put a little bit of hurt, a little bit of pain on these two-time world champions. By the way, they're the same team that's knocked you out of the playoff in the last 2 years as well.
"79 yards in 12 plays, and Herschel Walker on the drive rushed for 24 yards and caught a pass for 18 and threw a pass for 12. Triple threat. And the Vikings in front 10-0. Maybe there's a man with something to prove in this final game. Reves will kick off for the Vikings. And back deep for the 49ers, Spencer Tillman and Dexter Carter.
35 Dexter Carter. Juan Reves will kick off for the Vikings.
Tillman is on the right. Kick is headed toward Carter. He'll return it. No, he'll down it. It'll be a touchback, and the Niners will take over on the 20-yard line.
Let's go back and look at Walker's touchdown. Kevin Fagan right here is going to have a chance as Walker comes out to the outside to make the play. Watch number 75. Walker driving outside, Fagan right at his ankles, misses him, and then let's stop it right there. Bam! That's Waymer. Look at what happens to number 43 as Walker, whose power is up at that point. That is the old Herschel Walker, putting that forearm and that powerful leg action, driving into the end zone.
First down on the 20. This crowd very much into this game. Montana under pressure, and the pass completed to Keith Henderson, who has come in the game. Merlin mentioned that we would see Henderson, a big back and a good receiver. He picks up 9 yards that time with Audrey McMillan making the tackle, and the clock is running. 49ers have 2 timeouts left.
And they go right back to their hurry-up offense.
2nd and 1, Montana. And wide open is Brent Jones. And gets close to midfield, and we'll have a stoppage because of our 2-minute warning. But not before Joe Montana passes 18 yards.
Ladies and gentlemen,
to Brent
today's
Jones.
halftime features America's best Frisbee dog.
This looks like man-to-man with Browner right here on the line, but he's going to drop out to the short zone. Scott Studwell inside is going to be back here in the zone, but Brent Jones right down the seam finds room in that zone, and this is one of the plays that Jones and the 49ers run as well as anyone in football. Right there, the little seam pass to the tight end, and another big gain.
Brent Jones has caught 4 passes for 43 yards, and he has been the beneficiary of the fact that there are 2 outstanding wide receivers on this team and will virtually every game face single coverage. 49ers have not been shut out in the first half since December of '89. They're 2 minutes away from that right here. 1st and 10 on the 47 of San Francisco. No receivers open, and Montana will take off. And out of bounds, making the hit was McMillan.
Forced out by McMillan.
Gain of 6 yards.
Well, when you're on an artificial turf and you've watched so many quarterbacks go down, when Montana pulls it down and heads for the sideline, George Seifert and a number of the 49er coaches look away.
And look at all the quarterbacks who have been hurt, particularly on turf.
Look at that list and look at the injuries that were on turf. You cannot blame a hand injury on the turf, but you can see why George Seifert mentioned his fear of the artificial turf today.
2nd down and 5. And the pass is tipped and intercepted by Michael Brim of the Vikings. Browner got a hand on it, and Brim picked it off. His 2nd interception of the season.
Brim coming all the way across the field with Jerry Rice in man-to-man right here is going to benefit from the tipped ball. up in the air. He just drives in. Well, when that ball's in the air, he's the receiver. He said, hey, that's my football. There is no interference after the bump. Dolman with great pressure behind Montana to help create that bad throw.
Joe Montana may be through for the day. He was scheduled to go no more than a half.
Knowing Montana, he may ask for some extra time. He has not had a good half. Whoa, and Gannon. Did he get the timeout or not?
I think he did, but someone snapped the ball, and Haley came in. So Haley doesn't think it was a timeout called in the nick of time.
Hey, I tell you what, you guys thought...
We are hearing some editorial comment.
Minnesota, that's their first timeout. He got the timeout before the clock went to 0.
Gannon said, I'll tell you what, I hold my hand up. You've got to give me a timeout. Well, they snapped that ball. Laudermilk did not see the signal for the timeout. He snapped the football right off the hip, and Gannon is mad. Watch the snap here. Going to take Gannon, turns to the sideline, calls a timeout, and there's the shot. Good snap right on the hip. Haley got in and got that football.
Why do I think we'll be seeing that highlight many times late tonight? And maybe at halftime when Greg and Terry bring you up to date with all the scores and highlights around the league and bring you up to date on that Dallas-Atlanta game with the Cowboys in a position, if they win, to wrap up a wild card berth. It'd be a great achievement for them after winning one game last year.
Dick, you look at that scoreboard, Vikings up by 10, and you think of the fumbles that have been scooped up after the 49ers lost them. They've had some big breaks in this game already. It could be much worse.
First down on the 37. Gannon under pressure. Completes to Anthony Carter. Picks up about 5 yards. Don Griffin all over him.
Hurry up for the Vikes.
Minnesota with 2 timeouts remaining. Second down and 4. Here's Hassan Jones with enough for the first down. Kevin Lewis covered.
Forced out by Kevin Lewis.
Vikings in the first quarter scoring when Quadrivez was successful on a 34-yard field goal. And the only touchdown in the game, an impressive drive engineered by Herschel Walker, who threw a pass, caught one, and ran 9 yards for the touchdown to give the Vikings a 10-0 lead. First and 10 on the Vikings 48. And a stunt going on in the pass and a mix-up as Chris Carter stopped.
I think he actually ran right into the back of Kevin Lewis, who had gotten position on him and simply wouldn't let him go deep. Bottom of the screen now, you get a chance to watch the matchup right here between these two as they start downfield. Kevin Lewis is going to get ahead of him and then just stop right there, just turn his back to him and kept him from going on downfield. Carter started to turn back, but by that time the ball was in the air.
Second down and 10. And his pass is tipped off the hands of Carter. Bill Romanowski, the linebacker, covering on the play. So with 1:13 left, that'll bring up third down and 10 for Minnesota.
Gannon tends to be a little bit of a side armor when he gets tired. Watch this delivery. Drops it down. You see the stunt going on up front by the 49ers, but they're picked up. And that's the kind of pass that often will get you in trouble. Not so here, although it does take off, which a sidearm throw very often will do, and goes well over the receiver's head.
Third down and 10 on the Viking 48. Gannon and a fine catch by Hassan Jones, close to the first down yardage. And now they say it was, no, it is a completion. Bill Romanowski covering on the play, and the Vikings want a timeout with 4th and less than a yard. Was that Anthony Carter on the catch?
It's their second timeout. 42nd timeout.
Gannon to the sideline, conferring with Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator. The man with the gray hair and the glasses standing behind the marker there. They actually have a whole bunch of offensive coordinators on this team. Bob Snelker, who will be upstairs. Mark Tressman, who came over from Cleveland last year, where he was the offensive coordinator. Tom Moore was the offensive coordinator for Chuck Noll over in Pittsburgh.
Cincinnati leading Cleveland 14-0, helping the Bengals playoff hopes. Miami already in front of Indianapolis. 4th down and a short 2. New England giving the Giants a scare, huh? Ball on the 44 of San Francisco. Haley, I didn't see anyone move on the Vikings side, did you?
Those are Giant steps right there. That's an embarrassing
Full
moment.
start. Head bob number 16, 5 yards.
The head bob. The old head bob.
Well, the quarterback is allowed to use his voice. He cannot use his body, and Gannon going crazy. If the quarterback uses his body to deliberately draw you off sides, then he gets the call. Watch the head here. Watch the head of Gannon. Right there. He drops it way down, and Haley, responding to that, goes in. The referee saying you cannot do that. You can yell as loud as you want, but you cannot simulate the start of a play.
Too much bobbing for Mr. Gannon.
Give him some apples. He can go after those.
And the Vikings
Timeout.
are going to call
Minnesota.
a timeout.
That's their 3rd
It'll
timeout.
be 4th down and 7.
42nd timeout.
The 49ers have already sent John Taylor back in punt formation, and the Vikings have used up all 3 of their timeouts. Coming up next, the Detroit Lions against the Seattle Seahawks. Lions have been spoilers. They knocked the Green Bay Packers out of the playoffs last week and will try to do the same for the Seahawks. But the Seahawks need some help. They need to win and need some help from other people.
Who would have thought that the Seahawks would be able to fight their way back into it? I'll tell you, this extra wild card berth has certainly made the latter part of this season statistically interesting for us and for a number of teams around the league. Not statistically interesting in this first half for Joe Montana. And I've got to believe he might be over there saying, please let me get back in there and get something going in the second half. But I don't think it's going to happen.
He's got less than a minute to put some points on the board, something he hasn't been able to do. Newsome kicking. Back is Taylor. And this will sail into the end zone for a touchback. So with 50 seconds, 5-0 remaining in the first half, the 49ers get one last chance.
Well, and they have done well. They get out there even with seconds on the clock. They seem to be able to find a way of getting something happening. But Montana, who has struggled through this first half with 50 seconds and a lot of green, 80 yards between him and that other goal line.
They are the masters of the 2-minute offense. In the last 16 first half opportunities, they have scored 9 times. That is remarkable.
And often with just seconds on the clock.
They got 2 timeouts on their side. Montana on first down hits Brent Jones, but a penalty marker is down. We may have a holding call.
A tackling call on Bubba, I think. His Golden ended up with all of Bubba on top of him. Here it is at the bottom of your screen. There he is, Dolman, 56, sliding inside on Bubba Paris.
10 yards, still first down.
It'll be first down and 20 following the holding penalty. Ball back to the 10. Montana going for Rice, out of bounds. He has thrown for only 88 yards and an interception. That was a tip ball, to be fair, and intercepted by Brim, but those are Joe Montana's numbers, and perhaps not the way you want to go into the playoffs as a 2-time defending champion.
No question about it.
Second down and 20 for the 49ers.
Second down and 20. Steve Young slated to play the second half. Montana sacked for the second time today, and that was Henry Thomas, and that's his second sack of the game.
But how did Chris Dolman miss him? Dolman had gone through early. Montana just went right underneath Dolman's arm and into the waiting arms of Henry Thomas. Right-hand side of your screen, 56. He goes in under. Watch Montana just step underneath his arm right there. And Henry Thomas coming from the other side. Well, you got to call that a baggie. That's not a true sack, although it counts the same as a sack.
We've had a baggie and a bob today. Keep in mind, only one team has lost its last 2 regular season games and won the Super Bowl. The Packers are 67. 49ers in danger of that right now, least of losing their last 2. And Jerry Rice. Oh. Let's see if it is ruled an incompleted pass.
I don't think he ever had possession of that football, and it is immaterial because the clock goes.
So George Seifert's 49ers are shut out in the first half, and that may be all for Montana. We'll see. And that is the end of the first half with the score. The Minnesota Vikings 10 and the San Francisco 49ers nothing.
Welcome once again to our studios in New York, everyone. Greg Gumbel along with Terry Bradshaw. Those of you watching the 49ers and the Minnesota Vikings, and if you were with us on the NFL Today, you heard Mr. Bradshaw say that it was very likely that the 49ers would fall to the Vikings today, but there's still another half of football to play.
And there is, and it looks like if Seifert goes according to plan, he will now put Montana on the bench, and then he'll bring in Young.
All right, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see.
Let's start at the top of the scoreboard and work our way down. First of all, the Dallas Cowboys desperately needing a win today. They would love to go into the playoffs with a victory over the Atlanta Falcons, but as they get underway in the second half, the Falcons lead it by a touchdown. The blitz on Dave Laufenberg.
Well, I think this caught Laufenberg off guard because the first blitz the Falcons came out was a safety, easy to see. Now the Falcons are sending 3 linebackers, and they're having trouble, the Cowboys picking it up.
Only touchdown of the day, Tracy Johnson from a yard out, and look at the reaction that gets from the New Orleans Saints looking on in Metairie, Louisiana.
Touchdown, baby! Woo!
Meanwhile, the second half has just gotten underway down in Atlanta. And Keith Jones returned the kickoff for the Atlanta Falcons for the touchdown, was it? Keith Jones all the way for a touchdown. We'll take a look at it now. And the Falcons are really getting the better of the Saints down in New Orleans now. This is Keith Jones. 76 yards in all, and Dallas fans can't be thrilled about this one at all.
Well, the thing is, you would expect this with Jones because of the turf and the conditions. And once again, once you make a plant and 2 people are on you, they go to the plant, they go flying and sliding by. So this is good. The extra point's good. Now you got a 14-0 game, and now the Cowboys are going to have to throw the ball to get back in the game. And that should be the strength of what they do because, hey, the Falcons are 28th in the league against the pass.
But not what they wanted to do today. They wanted to run the football against the Falcon defense, but it's 14-0. Remember, Cowboys need a win today. If they don't, then the Saints can win that final wild card spot in the NFC with a victory tomorrow night against the Los Angeles Rams. Now, at Cincinnati, the Bengals are leading the Browns at halftime by 2 touchdowns. Mike Pagel started at quarterback for the Browns and has thrown 2 interceptions so far. Halftime in Miami, the Dolphins are leading the Indianapolis Colts 16-14. Jeff George has thrown 2 touchdown passes. Dan Marino has thrown 1. Chip Lohmiller has kicked 3 field goals for the Redskins. Just underway in the third quarter, the Skins are leading the Bills by a score of 9-0. Frank Reich has been sacked twice and has thrown 88 yards for 88 yards so far today. The Giants in New England are now underway in the third quarter, and the Giants lead it by a score of 13-10. Jeff Hostetler, 74 yards and a touchdown passing today. And at Minnesota, it's 10-0. The game that you're watching from the Metrodome. The Vikings are leading the 49ers. Fuad Reveiz, a 34-yard field goal, and Herschel Walker, a touchdown run. Joe Montana, 10 of 20 for 88 yards, and he's thrown 1 interception. Now, a reminder that this is a doubleheader day of NFL action here on CBS. Coming up in our late games, some of you will see Green Bay play Denver. Most will see the Detroit Lions play Seattle. And the Seahawks remain alive for the final AFC wildcard. With more on this matchup, let's go to Vern Lundquist in the Emerald City.
The Seattle Seahawks can qualify as the 3rd AFC wildcard team, but first a couple of things have to happen. They must beat the guys who will wear these uniforms, the Detroit Lions, and then sit back and hope that Pittsburgh defeats Houston tonight. So how does Chuck Knox approach this game?
Well, our posture is we have to have a fine focus on the things that we have control over. The only thing we have control over is an opportunity against the Detroit Lions. And certainly Barry Sanders will be a guy that we have to be concerned about. I think he's the best running back in the National Football League at this point.
And how concerned are the Seahawks about Barry Sanders? Well, every NFL team has a locker room bulletin board. In Seattle's, every item concerns Barry Sanders.
I'm able to see and use my peripheral vision, where a lot of guys are who tend to be more of what they call a straight-ahead runner, who has his focus on just one set target. And I think I'm looking more a lot of times to make people miss and maybe the easy way out or to try to run around someone. So trying to just utilize my options instead of just picking one set thing and sticking with that.
Barry Sanders is going for the NFL rushing title this afternoon. Last night, John Madden, who joins me for the broadcast, said Sanders is the best running back he's never seen in person. He gets his first chance today. Now let's go back to New York.
Vern, thank you. Seattle can also clinch a wild card if the Seahawks win and Cleveland upsets Cincinnati. And the NFL Today on CBS will continue after this word from your local station.
San Francisco 49ers held scoreless for the first time this year at halftime. And the Minnesota Vikings in front 10-0. And we'll be back with the second half kickoff from the Metrodome in Minneapolis in just a moment. And welcome back to Minneapolis. Cold, minus degrees outside, but inside the Minnesota Vikings have warmed the hearts of their fans, leading 10-0. Joe Montana has his helmet on as if he might continue in this game. The plan was just to play him in the first half and then let Steve Young take over, but there is Young, who's also warming up.
Maybe that's just Joe's way of saying, I wish I could play a little bit longer.
The Vikings have been impressive. They have stopped the 49ers offense cold, thanks in part to Dolman. They wish they had Millard all season long, and Herschel Walker has been the hero on offense for the Minnesota Vikings. He has been criticized often this year, and the one touchdown of the game scored by Walker from 9 yards out.
The one thing that Herschel Walker does best, power running. Missed tackles again, 2 of them by the 49ers to provide the opportunity, but that's just a great run by Herschel Walker.
This is what he's done today, including passing once to DJ Dozier for 12 yards. He scored the touchdown, and this is the Herschel Walker that people around the National Football League remember. His numbers have gone down, as we had showed you, in the last couple of years, but Walker with a great first half and 10-0 to score in favor of Minnesota. There's Jerry Rice, who had only 1 catch in the first half. That's a surprise.
Yes, it is. And they were trying to get the ball to him. Minnesota just doing a good job of shutting him down in that secondary. Minnesota Vikings defense second in the league against the pass. They're not easy to throw against.
Spencer Tillman is number 23, and Dexter Carter, the other man deep for the 49ers. Fuad Reve is kicking off for the Vikings. And we're underway in the second half. And it'll be Dexter Carter at the 5. And the Vikings cover well. Pat Eilers. So Steve Young, getting last-minute instructions from upstairs, trots onto the field. The problems of the Niners in the first half.
Well, when you look at what they've done, they have not been able to string those plays together. Look how few plays they've had on the field. Punt, 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 punt. Have not been across midfield on possessions.
To start. 1st and 10 on the 17. Steve Young with the running threat. Dexter Carter hit by Henry Thomas. Steve Young, who threw for 208 yards against the Saints last week, but also ran for 102 yards, more than any other player in the game. That's the weapon he brings.
Well, he certainly does. And we talked about the fact that he is left-handed, that he loves to run the football. He is trying to stay in and has tried repeatedly to condition himself not to break out of there, and is doing a much better job of standing in and delivering the football.
2nd down and 8. Young's pass is dropped by Wesley Walls. Ball got to him. Walls couldn't hold on. That'll bring up third down.
Talked about Mike Holmgren having to adjust his offensive game plan when he puts a second quarterback in. Young, of course, left-handed, and there's Holmgren. He said, I've got to think left-handed. And, of course, he's had an opportunity to do that for many years. He was at BYU when Steve Young was a quarterback there. But he's got to change his thinking because Young wants plays more suited to the left-handed quarterback than would Montana, who wants to go to that right side more often.
Third down and 8. Young with 4 wide receivers finds Jerry Rice, who catches it for only the second time today and gets the first down over the middle. A pickup of 19 yards with Merriweather and Lee defending.
Rice in the slot. You see him right in the middle of your screen. They're trying to get the bump on him at Lee right there, but he's able to get off the line cleanly. And when you are trying to bump him and you miss him, that's bad news because Jerry Rice pushes off the line of scrimmage, closes on those defensive backs. Look how quickly he gets away from that bump right there by Lee. Carl not able to stop him at all. And then Rice showing you those great hands as he goes up to pull it down.
First down on the 38-yard line for the 49ers. Young is sacked. Ken Clark was the first man. Dolman also helped out, but that'll be the third sack today by the Minnesota forward wall.
The hardest thing for a quarterback to do when he has had very little playing time during the season is to read those defenses. He can start with one receiver, often maybe go off to a second receiver, but then has to pull that football down. Joe Montana, on the other hand, who reads so well, may be able to go to 4 and even a 5, a 5th receiver at times, or a 5 receiver, whichever you'd like.
We understand. And he's done that effectively. Second down and 12, and the give is to Tom Rathman, but he gets wrapped up in a hurry. It'll be third and long. Merriweather and Dolman. And Jerry Rice, who left the game for one play, goes back in and a loss of 1.
It's that old counter gap play. Both of these players pulling to get in front of that play and coming over into here. A chance to watch, but they're shut down as they get over in there. Big Bubba Paris pushing inside. Wallace trying to get over there, but nowhere for Rathman to go as Merriweather, 57, jumped all over him on that play.
49ers, 25% well down for what is a good third down conversion team. Third and 13. And Young can't get away. So that is the second sack of this drive by the Minnesota Vikings. Al Noga got to him first and then a few others.
Let's turn this coverage loose and watch what Steve Young was looking at as he gets ready to throw. Stop it right there. Let's see what he could have had a chance at. Here's an open receiver here. Here's an open receiver here. Here's a chance right here. But Young simply unable to find those open receivers, ate the football.
Barry Heldon on fourth down will kick, and Leo Lewis back for the Vikings. Lewis. Doesn't get much. And it was Tom Rathman on special teams. Roger Craig and Civvies, and Jerry Rice is not, and it's still 10-0 Minnesota. And a terrific marquee matchup, Southern Cal and Michigan State in the John Hancock Bowl tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern, and then on New Year's Day, the Cotton Bowl, the Mobile Cotton Bowl from Dallas, Texas against Miami. Texas one loss, that to Colorado, ranked #1, and Miami Hurricanes have captured 3 national titles in the last 7 years. First and 10 for Minnesota on their 32, and the pitch back from Walker to Gannon. He's going deep for Chris Carter. And a little bit too long with Dave Waymer covering. I thought Jerry Burns said no gimmicks today. There was a flea flicker here in the second half.
Well, he didn't promise. Maybe had his fingers crossed as he said that. A chance to watch it as it develops. Little toss and the toss back, but Waymer simply not fooled. Had an interception last week on the flea flicker, and he is right there with Carter all the way. That is smart, heads up defensive play by the safety Waymer.
Second down and 10. Pitches to Walker going left. And no gain on the play. Bill Romanowski there. Right now, let's check in with Greg Gumbel in New York. Greg?
Dick, in Atlanta, the Cowboys trying to operate from their own one, but look at Tim Green penetrate and rack up Emmitt Smith for the safety. It's now a 16-0 Falcons lead, and should the Cowboys fall, some happy New Orleans Saints are looking to take advantage tomorrow night against the Los Angeles Rams. Back to Dick and Merlin.
Well, that opens the door for the Saints if the Cowboys don't come back. But the Rams will have something to say about that, I'm sure. Third down and 10 out of the shotgun for Rich Gannon. Gannon with a good fake. And a pass intended for Chris Carter, and covering was Kevin Lewis. And it'll be fourth down, so the Vikings are now 0 for 7 on third down conversions.
Pierce Holt on that last play is going to be dropping back into coverage. Not often that you see a lineman swinging back out of there. Number 78, watch him right here as he swings back, drives deep into his zone, and there he is. He's going to eyeball that quarterback. I tell you, that's one of the biggest defensive backs you'd ever see. Pierce Holt, 6'4", 280 pounds, had a marvelous year. Showing you a little linebacker skill there, defensive back skill.
Harry Newsome kicking it away. John Taylor receives it. And throws a pass across the field to Mike Wilson. And Mike Wilson wanted to throw it downfield, but the Vikings hustled, and Pat Eilers wouldn't let Mike Wilson get rid of the ball.
You always put one man on the outside, and basically you say you hold containment no matter what. He's going to swing back, and Taylor, looking all the way across the field, flips it out there, but Eilers simply not fooled on his play, right there to greet him.
Vikings in front of the 49ers, 10-0.
Late substitution. Jamie Williams on and send one of the backs off the field. Keith Henderson.
First down on the 24. Rice in motion. Steve Young's pass. Nearly intercepted by Darrell Fullington. Wesley Walls was the intended receiver, and it popped off of his hand.
Young's pass intended for Walls is incomplete.
In the AFC, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the LA Raiders can clinch division titles with a win today. The Raiders later, and the Steelers tonight against Houston. Seattle, which plays next on CBS against Detroit, can clinch a playoff game if they win, and either the Bengals or Houston loses. The Bills already have a first-round bye. They have the best record in the conference, and right now Cincinnati locked in a struggle with lowly Cleveland in the third quarter. Second down and 10 on the 24. Keith Henderson in the game and in motion for the 49ers. Young's pass knocked down by Merriweather, and Walls was the intended receiver. Merlin, I can't help but thinking that the rhythm and the timing is off when you get a new quarterback, no matter how good he is as far as the receivers go.
Well, especially when a quarterback's style is so dramatically different from what you're used to with Montana. But if you look at the way these 49ers have played during this entire game, I have not seen every game they played. I have never seen them have a worse beginning to a game. And certainly to play this way in their last opportunity before the playoffs has to be a real downer for this whole team. They're still hoping to get something going, but this has been an awful game, particularly for the 49er offense.
Young is only 1 for 4. Back to pass on 3rd and 10, and his pass is caught. It'll be a first down to Jerry Rice.
Young's pass complete to Rice.
Covering was Michael Brim, and a gain of 15 yards.
It's a 49er first down.
Rice at the top of your screen, number 80. They're not trying to bump him here. Brim waiting for him downfield, but Rice in between the short and long coverage of the Vikes. And there was some good whistle on that football. Young does have a very strong arm, and Rice there at the other end of a good pass.
3 catches today for Jerry Rice. He went in needing 9 receptions for 100 on the season. First down on the 39 of San Francisco. Keith Henderson dives forward for a couple, and John Randall was there for the Vikings.
A lot of shuffling going on the offensive line for the 49ers early in the year, and some injuries in the last couple of weeks. Guy McIntyre, you see the cast on his hand there? He was hurt 2 weeks ago against the Los Angeles Rams. Didn't know, but he'd broken a bone up just above the thumb. And last week aggravated that injury, said he should have taken himself out of last week's ball game. Did not play well. Has not had a great game here today either.
2nd down and 7. Young with the short drop, and Jerry Rice on the reception. And that's the kind of pattern that usually results in Rice getting big yardage. As it was, he got 21 yards before Joey Browner made the tackle, and Browner is down on the field.
Attention, please.
Joey Browner ranked as one of the finest safeties in the NFL by everyone. Looking at that right knee. Jerry Rice right here against Lee. He's going to drive down and at full speed cross inside, and there's just no way to cover him when he can break on a full speed break and catch the football right there. Look at how many, 4 Vikings right there around him. That ball's still thrown to him, and he still makes the catch. Now that's, you talk about a quarterback read, not a great read, because you don't want to force the ball into a guy who's covered by 4 people. But obviously when that guy is Jerry Rice and they have that kind of confidence in him, sometimes it works anyway.
Browner got shaken up, but the hand for him as he walks off the field on his own power.
His legs twisted after he made the stop. And look at him as he gets tangled up with one of his own teammates, Audrey McMillan right there. Looked like McMillan rolled over on that leg a little bit. Browner walking under his own power, but showing some signs of real pain with that leg.
Stills goes into the game for him, and a 1st down on the Minnesota 36. Play fake, and the pass to Rice. And the Vikings were ready. Audrey McMillan and Mike Merriweather behind him, and a gain of only 2 yards.
When you're playing on defense, there are certain people on offense, when they get the football in their hands, you almost get sick to your stomach because you know there's a chance they can go all the way. Rice is one of those players. Even when you throw him that little dinky pass, the little one to the outside, you see that ball in his hands, you say, uh-oh. But you saw how quickly the Vikings arrived. He draws a crowd in a hurry.
96 catches on the year, and that's a San Francisco 49er record. He's looking for the 100 mark. 2nd down and 8 on the 34 of Minnesota. Steve Young drills it to Rice, and the pass just behind him, couldn't hold on to it. Rice thought he should catch it. Carl Lee defending on the play. What is Jerry Rice meant to the 49ers and what he has done in the league? Art Monk holds the record for most receptions. In '84, he caught 106. He wishes. Rice 4 away from that 100 mark.
Well, we'll give him 20. You want to give him 20? He'll like that.
3rd down and 8.
49ers finally cooking here on offense. Let's see if they can get some points.
Young gets pressure, and John Taylor makes the catch.
Great catch.
And kept his feet in bounds, good enough for a Niners 1st down. Alonzo Hampton defending.
Sorry, Dick. One of the great things about a receiver is knowing where that sideline is. You can't do it any better than this. He knows. He never looked, but he knew he had to drag both those toes. And the second he touched that football, he's looking to get both feet down. Watch the toe drag right from the beginning. Right from the beginning. Smart play. That's why when you've got a Jerry Rice on one side and you choose to ignore this man even momentarily, he burns you.
Well, the 49ers with their best offensive sequence of the game, trailing 10-0, but a 1st down on the 23 of the Vikings. Young up the middle. He's got Henderson. And the big back, who's been injured and came off injured reserve last week, is tackled by Mike Merriweather after a gain of 9.
And he pulled out of a tackle by Ray Berry. And, of course, that's what a big back can do, get down and pound on some people defensively. This has not been a day when the 49ers have really taken a physical toll on this Viking defense. They've been the poundees rather than the pounders.
And the Vikings
And the 10th play of this drive upcoming, 2nd down and 1. Does not appear to get that one.
Al Noga right through to the inside, number 99, right there to meet Rathman in the backfield. We talked about his size, one of the smallest defensive ends in football, but one of the quickest as well. Right inside, just a head-to-head collision. You'll see him from the top of your screen driving inside right there, 99. Look how quickly he's in on Rathman. And then support coming from the inside from Ken Clark as well. Third and about, what, half a yard?
Something like that. And let's see whether the Vikings were drawn off or whether the hard count got them for a change. That would be a 1st down if the penalty is against Minnesota. It is.
Encroachment, number 99 defense, 5 yards, 1st down.
A little overzealous was Al Noga, and that'll be a 49ers 1st down.
Well, he knows he's got to make his plays with quickness. Number 99, just a moment ago, making that play. Here he is, right at the top of your screen, 99. He knows that he's got to get a jump on those big linemen up front. And I thought I saw a twitch from the right guard, Harris Barton. But obviously the officials didn't see it. They called Al Noga.
1st and goal on the 9-yard line. Young, and it's knocked away. A fine play again by Carl Lee on John Taylor. So twice today, Carl Lee has gotten that hand in the right place at the right time.
Carl Lee is going to the Pro Bowl, and one of the reasons he's going is because of plays like that. Man-to-man coverage, driving all the way. Let's watch the play. Coming from the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see Carl Lee showing up right in the hip pocket of John Taylor. And look at that. That hand as it's drawn up on the defensive manual. The right hand across in front of the receiver, knocking the ball away.
2nd and goal. Young's got a lot of time. Time ran out. Ken Clark with his 2nd sack and the 5th of the game by the Vikings, and a loss of a pair.
You want to force Steve Young to go out to his right. Montana, you saw them forcing him to his left. Young, they make sure they push to the right. Look at him backing up, and he can't find anyone. Hold it right there. No one open here, no one open here. Good coverage here. He's got to pull the football down. What happens? Gets back into traffic, and there's the sack right there. Ken Clark. Hey, I like to see those guys get in there and get those sacks. His 13th year in the league, and perhaps his last, but it has been a great one. Said he's had as much fun this year as he had in his rookie year.
And when he says that in a year in which the Vikings could end up 7-9, that's saying a lot.
Something, isn't it?
Joe Montana played the 1st half for the 49ers. The good news is that he left the game unscathed. The bad news is that the 49ers did not score in the 1st half. They work on Joey Browner, who was shaken up before, but now a very big 3rd and 11 for the Niners. 3rd and goal on the 11. Young dropped. Wesley Walls drops the ball right in his hand. He could not have gotten a better pass.
They had the blitz on. The Vikes were coming all out. And Young read it, got the football off, got the pass perfectly into the hands of Wesley Walls. And guess what? The ball is dropped. A day of extreme futility for these 49ers, and Young cannot believe it. You can't throw a pass any better than that.
And a field goal attempt for Mike Kofer, 29 yards. He's had a terrific season, and the kick is good So it takes the 49ers to the 4-minute 15-second mark of the third quarter before they can get on the scoreboard and still trail the Vikings 10-3.
Vikings blitzing on that last play, but the tight end breaks out and gets clean very easily. And they're able to pick it up here, give Young time to throw the football. Boy, that just is going to make you sick when you look at the films tomorrow or the tapes tomorrow when you're back home in San Francisco.
So the 49ers have to settle for 3, and it's a 10-3 ball game as Kofor kicks off. Herschel Walker's the deep man for Minnesota. He's got it at the 3. And Walker is down just short of the 20-yard line. Kofor with a 29-yard field goal. He is the first 49er to score 100 points 4 years in a row. He has been very steady. And now it's a 10-3 game. Joey Browner out with cramps is the word. These teams have met in postseason, and in twice in the last 3 years, the 49ers have beaten the Vikings in the playoffs. Lost in '87, beaten the next 2 years. First down to DJ Dozier, and he comes up with nothing that time. Well, the 49ers have a lot at stake. They know they're set for the playoffs, but their 17-game regular season win streak is on the line today. That's an NFL record. They have other streaks as well. They have won 16 in a row on artificial turf and 8 in a row indoors, and all that on the line today.
Well, the most important thing that's on the line today, the fact that they just have not played good football. That's the key. That's what's going to make them feel worse. I don't think we want to limit the impact that Minnesota has had, but it has been 49er futility more than great play by the Vikings.
Carter was the intended receiver, Chris Carter. That'll bring up third down.
Another word about these Vikes, and you look down on that sideline, you realize that 5 of these Vikes, as many Vikes as there are 49ers going to the Pro Bowl. And this is a talented team. That it underscores the way they have played today, kind of underscores the futility of their season too. The fact that they have only been able to win 6 games.
Almost like what could have been.
What could have been, exactly.
3rd and 11 on the 18. Out of the shotgun is Rich Gannon. Gannon's pass is caught by Hassan Jones, and the Vikings get out of trouble with a first down and a 16-yard pickup. Kevin Lewis on the stop, and you got to say a word on how Gannon's been protected by that offensive line.
The Niners trying to stunt to get into him. They turn it loose here, and again it's Haley going inside. Finds the center, Loudermilk right there. Hassan Jones, all kinds of room. He hasn't been able to practice the last 3 or 4 weeks with a turf toe. Here's Haley. Watch him drive inside on the stunt. And look who's there. Loudermilk. Bam! Right in the chest.
First down on the 34 of Minnesota. Here's Walker. And he'll be thrown for a loss. Pete Kugler. Walker with a brilliant first half with 108 all-purpose yards to lead the Vikings to a 10-0 lead.
Ooh, look
Speaking
at
of
that
shutouts,
score.
yep,
Wow.
Atlanta. That opens the door for the Saints. If the Cowboys lose, the Saints beat the Rams tomorrow night. New Orleans will make the wild card playoffs and will face the Bears next week.
I wonder if Jimmy Johnson is having second thoughts about that trade of Walsh earlier in the year. They could have used him in that ball game today.
Second down and 10. Gannon, low throw intended for Chris Carter. 1:58 remaining in the third quarter. Dick Stockton and Merlin Olsen. Minnesota Vikings trying to avoid last place, and Jerry Burns trying to go out with a win here.
Haley, number 94. Watch him right here. Picks up Zimmerman, goes up over the top, and gets a ride right there from Gary Zimmerman, who rejects him. He's sacrificing his body, trying to reach up and get a piece of that football.
That'll bring up 3rd and 10. gets hit as he lets go. Anyone's
duck.
ball, and it's intercepted by Dave Waymer. And Waymer protects the ball. It was intended for Hassan Jones. And the first turnover of the ball game by the 49ers, his 7th interception of the year.
Charles Haley continues relentlessly. He's been stopped, but he also finds a way to get the heat on right here. And it's his pressure on Gannon that forces this bad throw. Look at this, off the back foot. And the ball is hit, the arm is hit. It went up like a wounded duck. You almost had the fair catch that one in the secondary.
And the Niners start out in Viking territory at the 49. Interception by Waymer, his 7th, leading the team. Steve Young drills it to Jerry Rice, first down. The 49ers get inside the 40. Carl Lee and Joey Browner, and a pickup that time of 13 yards.
That's a 49er first down.
Quadra-Vase gave the Vikings a lead in the first quarter. They stretched it to 10-0 at the half on Herschel Walker's TD run, but the 49ers have shown some life offensively in the second half. Mike Kofer with a field goal moments ago, and now threatening again of a first down on the Viking 37 with 1:08 remaining in the third quarter. Young, and the pass intended for Walls, and Mike Merriweather, a linebacker, step for step with good pass coverage.
Wesley Walls incomplete. Merriweather defending.
Mike Merriweather, and this is the kind of matchup you'd like to get. A chance to watch it as Walls will go right down, straight down the field, and there is Merriweather. Look at that, that's great coverage. Joey Browner down deep waiting to help, but Merriweather didn't need any assistance on that play. Running with Walls step for step. That's good linebacker play. These Vikes have played some tough defense today.
Second down and 10 on the 37 with under a minute to go in the third quarter. Young completes the pass, penalty marker down, and that's Ron Lewis with the reception, and he may have a first down, an 11-yard pickup, but that'll be nullified as the 49ers are called for holding.
Al Noga saying it was Steve Wallace who was dragging on him. And what a frustrating thing for Steve Young.
74, offense, 10 yards, still second down.
Noga so very quick, and Wallace, who injured his knee. Here's Wallace right here, and Noga coming in from the outside has an advantage. They've moved him out to try and get him in from way outside wide. Look at him there as he tries to get out. That's just pure takedown on that play. And frustration because it's an excellent throw and a good catch and would have been a first down.
Second down and 20 on the 47 following the penalty. Young pumps and will run it. And Joey Browner back in the game, knocks him out of bounds. And right now for an update, let's check in again with Greg Gumbel in New York.
Well, Dick, in Atlanta, Greg Davis from 23 yards out gives Atlanta a 19-0 lead, and it's looking more and more like Jimmy Johnson's going to have to pray for victory by the Rams. The New Orleans Saints, however, having a good time as they watch the Falcons take a 19-point lead. Dick?
Thank you, Greg. Harris Barton limps off the field. As we said earlier on this artificial turf, the 49ers wanted to make sure that they could win and not get injuries, and Barton walks off. And that is the end of the third quarter. With the score, the Vikings 10 and the 49ers 3, and our coverage will continue after this message from your local station. You are watching the NFL on CBS. We're back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, where the San Francisco 49ers in their final tune-up before the playoffs trail the Minnesota Vikings 10-3 going into the fourth quarter here. It'll be third down and 7 for the Niners on the Minnesota 34. Steve Young running for the sticks, and he's got it. Young will get the first down, chased out of bounds by Mike Merriweather.
Forced out by Merriweather.
This is the kind of thing that you expect from Steve Young. Jimmy Williams, number 58, has been set over on the right side to keep him from running to that side. He's the man that's coming on a full sprint here from the far side to try and chase Young out. Merriweather actually gets there ahead of him, but Young able to scoop the first down. And, well, I tell you, that's some fine running from the quarterback.
The offense this half for the 49ers, they had 106 in the first half. They've already exceeded that number, and we still have a full quarter to go. 1st and 10 on the 26. The pitch is to Keith Henderson. Well, he is a strong big back who was a 3rd-round draft choice 3 years ago, and it took Browner and Brim to knock him out of bounds, and Browner is down again.
Once you get those cramps in that leg, very often the slight, and he's grabbing his arch. He's got the foot now.
He's ready to go to Paris now, I would think.
Boy, he's angry. Watch the power of Keith Henderson right here. Good block out in front by Harris Barton, who's back in the ball game. Browner dragging on the back. Henderson just pulling him. And again, as those feet whip and hit the ground, Browner comes up grabbing those legs.
Big point there as you look at the foot of Browner is that Harris Barton is back in, as you mentioned, for the 49ers. 2nd down and 1. Here is Henderson. Henderson is stopped short, and it was Henry Thomas. An aroused defense for the Vikings today, and it'll be 3rd and 1. But right now, let's go back to Greg Gumbel in New York. Greg?
Well, Dick, the Cowboys can forget about this one. Babe Laufenberg's pass picked off by Deion Sanders, and here comes number 21. He gets a block here, a cutback here, and Deion will Cadillac into the end zone. Cowboys have to hope for a Saints loss tomorrow night, Dick.
The Falcons playing the role of spoilers today. Right here, it'll be 3rd down and 1 for the Niners. Young's pass to Henderson, incomplete. Ray Berry defending on the play. He did not have control of the ball, and it'll bring up 4th down.
He ended up catching the football, but not having control of it till he was well out of bounds. Good, strong man-to-man coverage from the linebacker Berry, and a good set of hands by Henderson, but not able to control the football.
So the 49ers forced to settle for 3 possibly here.
Well, we've seen some trickery already in this game. Would they fake the field goal?
Gopher already with a 29-yarder. This will be a 35-yard attempt with Barry Helton holding. And the kick is good. So Kofer with a couple of field goals here in the second half have brought the 49ers closer. It is now 10-6 Minnesota. It's 10-6 in favor of Minnesota. And Merlin, of course, all we heard from the 49ers yesterday is the things that they want to do so that they're ready for the playoffs. They're off next week, and then they play in 2 weeks. What are the things that you think are important for a team to get ready for postseason?
Well, they're the same things that George Seifert talked about yesterday. The first is health. You've got to be healthy. You've got to have balance. You've got to have big play capability, and you've got to have momentum. Well, let's look at the 49ers, see how they're doing. They are healthy. We'll give them a check there. Balance. Yes, they are balanced, though you've got to question their ability to run the football, and you also have to question their ability with the punt game. So we'll give them a question mark. Big play capability, not today, but certainly they have shown that in the past. Let's give them the check mark. The big one, and this is the one they're worried about today, momentum. With 2 losses in a row, a real question mark going into that playoff week.
They were down 10-0. It's 10-6, and they want to avoid that second straight loss. And Herschel Walker, who has been the key man of the Viking offense today, is back deep for Minnesota. Michael Kofer will kick off. He has accounted for the 49ers offense today, Kofer. This is a short kick, and Walker running up at the 13. When the 49ers have gotten inside the 20, they have stalled considerably. They have managed just 2 field goals. And meanwhile, Minnesota has been successful with 1 touchdown in 2 possessions.
They haven't been inside the 20 very much either. I'm sure that's one of the things that concerns George Seifert. His 49er defense only given up 10 points on the day. They have not played that badly.
1st and 10 on the 28-yard line for Minnesota. Play fake. Gannon is going deep for Chris Carter. A little bit too long with Pollard covering on the play.
They worried about Pollard. I saw him in the locker room just before the game. Had a shot of cortisone in his back. Has really had trouble during this week. Was a question mark in the starting lineup. But he has run well here today, and he is an important cog in that 49er defense.
You know, we looked at George Seifert's very impressive record of 30-4 as a head coach. He has never lost a game on the road as a head coach. All 4 of those losses at Candlestick Park.
Hard to believe, isn't it? Hard to believe.
2nd down and 10. The give is to Walker. And Haley from behind. After a gain of a couple, that'll bring up 3rd down.
Haley on the tackle.
Steve Young, he has to decide what he wants to do. Of course, the 49ers can match any offer by another club financially, but question is with Steve Young, he has been a good soldier for the 49ers, and Eddie DeBartolo has been one of the great owners, treating his people well. If Young really wanted to leave, I can't see DeBartolo standing in his way.
He wants to have a chance to start and realizes that Montana just may keep hanging on and hanging on. And how do you say no to Joe Montana?
3rd down and 7. Gannon under pressure. Drills it. And it's incomplete. Anthony Carter defended by Kevin Lewis on a bang-bang play, and that will bring up 4th down. So you can feel, you mentioned momentum, you can feel the tide shifting toward the 49ers here in the second half. Gannon has struggled, 1 for 8 with an interception. And now the 49ers get another chance with the ball with plenty of time remaining.
I think one of the things that has to be affecting Gannon is that flu. He's got to be weak, and he is not moving around as well, not making as good of decisions here in this second half. The 49er defense has helped a little bit too.
Eric Lewis is deep, and Harry Newsome with the punt. Lewis.
On the return.
39-yard kick, and Pat Eilers on the stop. Well, the Viking defense will be under the gun against Steve Young when we return in a moment. Wintry weather in the upper Midwest, and here at the Metrodome, fans on the final game of the year where the Vikings, not as impressive as they were last year. They were 8-0 here in the Metrodome last season, 4-3 coming into this final game. Joey Browner, you mentioned going to the Pro Bowl 6 straight times, sitting this series out at least.
Well, we saw him icing down the left leg and then grabbing the right foot after he took the shot on the last one, and his absence out there critical to this Viking defense.
1st down on the 36 for the Niners. Young's pass threads the needle and is complete to John Taylor, and 1st down again. 13-yard pickup. Ray Berry covering. Coming up next, the Detroit Lions and the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle needs a win and a loss by either Cincinnati and Houston to make it as a wild card in the AFC.
And run and shoot so much more effective on the artificial turf. Those quick receivers downfield, the good footing makes a big difference for them.
1st down on the 49. Keith Henderson on the toss. Whoa! Drives his way into Viking territory. Ray Berry felt the brunt of that one.
Oh, you can hear that one all the way up here. And Berry, who has had a year of internship behind Scott Studswell, will give you a chance to hear what it's like to play that middle linebacking position. That hurt the second time, too.
2nd down and 7. The 49ers at the Viking 48.
2nd down and 7. They like Berry is a comer in this league. Solid linebacker, can play the middle and the outside. Young took off, gets the 1st down. Oh. And more. 14-yard pickup by Steve Young. Carl Lee brought him down, and Young didn't waste much time before taking off on that play.
It's the thing he tries to discipline himself not to do, and yet it's probably his greatest asset as a quarterback, his ability to run the football. Young quarterbacks who can run very often develop bad habits. And Steve has worked very hard to discipline himself to read the receivers first, to stay in that pocket.
San Francisco has dominated the time of possession here in the second half. And the Niners have a 1st and 10 on the Viking 34. Here's Henderson, and he's tripped up by Clark.
Henderson, the ball carrier.
At about the line of scrimmage.
Clark induced bombing on the tackle.
Floyd Peters has to be pleased with the way his defense has played today, but without Joey Browner in there, has to be concerned as the 49ers again push the ball down deep into Minnesota territory.
You think Floyd is a vocal kind of assistant coach?
Hey, I like him, and I think some of these teams around the league that have really slipped need a coach that can grab them by the throat. That's this kind of guy. That's Floyd Peters.
He can do that. 2nd and 9 for Young. He wants a block, and he gets it. Steve Young asked for a block, and it was Tom Rathman who delivered for Young, who gets 19 yards on that scamper and a 1st down to the 15-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings.
There's 44 Rathman. You'll see him later, but watch Young. He'll start the swing of the ball and pull it down right here, and then adios. He's heading to the outside. Jimmy Williams missed him on the blitz. Watch him here as he outruns Carl Lee, points inside, and there's Rathman. Rathman just got in Lee's way. It was Berry that missed him with that 2nd tackle, and Young with the big pickup down to the 14-yard line.
1st and 10 on the 14. The 49ers have been trailing throughout, can take the lead with a touchdown. Young's pass. Touchdown to Jerry Rice.
How in the world did that ever get through the hands of Carl Lee?
I think Lee just stopped and put his hands up and misjudged the throw, and Jerry Rice has caught his 13th touchdown pass of the year.
Jerry Rice in the slot, breaking outside. Carl Lee is right there waiting for him. Goes up and just misses the football. Misjudged the football. Jerry Rice did not miss the football. Here it is again. Oh, right off the fingertips. Actually got a piece of that football, but not enough to deflect it.
Michael Kofer's kick is good. And so the 49ers, who are trailing 10-0 at the half, have come back here and have taken the lead on the Minnesota Vikings 13-10. Back here at the Metrodome in Minneapolis with 8:37 to go in the 4th quarter. Jerry Rice with his 13th touchdown catch of the year. He leads the league in that department. And for Steve Young, touchdown pass number 1 on the year. Kofer will kick it for the Niners. Herschel Walker is the deep man for the Vikings. 49ers now leading 13-10. Here's Walker. Sit out past the 20-yard line. Stop is made by Leroy Etienne and Keith Henderson.
The Vikings had anticipated the pick play. Watch Taylor coming inside and Rice going for the corner. Carl Lee switches off his man and goes deep with Rice. They do everything right, except right at the end of this play, Carl Lee needs to be 6 inches taller. He missed the football.
Vikings with a 1st down on their own 22. And the pitch to Herschel Walker. That's about 3 yards. Matt Millen and Johnny Jackson that time. Penalty marker is down.
Bob McKittrick talking to his offensive lineman. I would guess The comfort level on that 49er sideline has gone up considerably after that touchdown.
Penalty will be called against the 49ers.
Illegal use of the hands to the head. Number 67 defense. 5 yards. First down.
Pete Kugler, the nose man, and a first down for the Vikings. Vikings out of the playoffs for the first time since Jerry Burns' first year as head coach.
It's first and 10 for the Vikings at their 27.
First down and 10 on the 27-yard line. Rich Gannon with enough time, but the pass is incomplete. Steve Jordan, the tight end, that was not a good throw to him.
Jordan had gotten away, had gotten loose from Romanowski, and I think Gannon, whose energy level has to be dropping off considerably, just threw a horrible pass, threw it down at his ankles. Jordan couldn't hang on to it.
Wade Wilson, of course, who came back last week out of action with a separated shoulder, had that injured thumb most of this year. Sean Salisbury, who has not played at all, would be the backup for Gannon.
Now, and if this game were lopsided either way, you could expect to see Salisbury. They like him here.
Second down and 10. Gannon's pass caught this time by Alfred Anderson. And on the play was Dave Waymer. A gain of 5, and that'll bring up third down and 5 for the Vikings with 7:40 remaining here in the fourth quarter.
As well as Dave Waymer has played, they've got to be anxious to get Ronnie Lott back on the field, because Lott just fires up that defense. He has such tremendous energy, and particularly in the huddle, he comes up and takes charge. Now, Waymer's got the experience, and he's an excellent player. He's just a plus when the captain is in there. There's Ronnie Lott.
Third down and 4 out of the shotgun. And the pass to Walker. Walker trying to drive for the sticks, and very close, and it appears that he has it. Davis and Jackson on the stop, and the extra effort by Herschel Walker gives the Vikes a first down.
This is something you don't see very often. Herschel Walker being nifty with his feet. Watch him right here. Just a little loop puts Romanowski on the ground, and then using his strength to get the extra part of that yardage for the first down.
First and 10 for the Vikings at their
There's
38.
Romanowski to the ground. Eric Davis right there is the man who gets more than he wants.
First down on the 38-yard line, and Gannon under pressure, and Haley lassos him down to the turf, and that is the second time the 49ers have gotten to Gannon today in a loss of 6 yards.
Here's Haley coming from right here, working on Zimmerman, getting a chance to drive from the outside, and watch him. He just gets outside and then drives inside. Gannon makes the wrong choice at the wrong time. That's a necktie tackle there.
Haley's 16th quarterback sack of the season, leading the conference.
He used to call those neck tackles by the quarterbacks. Hey, watch a quarterback grab Haley with his neck and throw him down. Not funny if you're getting tackled that way.
Hardly. Second and 16. Gannon's pass, and incomplete to Carter.
They're saying it skipped off the ground, and Carter angry about that one. But the official with a good view of it.
We may have a review, and that's what Carter is saying. Let them look at it upstairs.
Millen's got something to say. Hey, come on, Chris, go back to the huddle. Let's take a peek at it and see if we can see what happens. Good view of the ball.
He got it.
I think he made the catch. I think he made the catch. Your eyes and mine are agreeing on that one, and that's such an excellent shot from Director Andy Kendall and Richie Zients, our producer.
The play is being reviewed.
Yeah, being reviewed, and I think will be overturned. I think they're going to give him the catch.
Looked like he had the ball, did not touch the ground.
Well, the tip of the ball touches the ground after he catches it, but a question then of did he have control of it? Well,
and is it a conclusive reason to overturn the official's call?
That's right. You've got to be able to see it well enough to say, yes, for sure, it is a catch.
But I agree with you. I thought he had it.
They're communicating.
They have a great system here of playing the theme from Jeopardy. The final Jeopardy question. Final Jeopardy answer, huh?
Stated in the form of a question. I hope they make it more conclusive than that. Fans are getting restless. They've seen it 3 times. They've made up their minds here. They know it's a catch. They'll give our replay official all the help he needs. Jerry Burns is pointing up. He said, "What more do you need?" He caught the football. So important in Jerry Burns' mind to finish this season right. And we talked to him yesterday. As disastrous as it's been, he's got a sense of humor. Well, are they going to make an announcement here? Maybe they're having trouble communicating. Yeah, the phones are out or something.
Tell you what, if I hear that theme for a 4th time, I'm going to get a little upset. It's a nice theme, but
they're going to give it to him. Yep. I said to Jerry Burns yesterday when I saw him, "Tough week." He stopped and looked at me. He said, "Tough year," and I realized that it was a very silly way to open the conversation.
We have a reversal. It is ruled as a completed pass. 3rd down for Minnesota.
it'll be 3rd down and 5. And the clock is running on just under 6 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Niners lead the Vikings 13-10 after trailing 10-0 in this one. Flags are down. Gannon may have a free play. Anthony Carter has the ball, and another penalty marker is thrown from the secondary. Johnny Jackson makes the stop on Anthony Carter.
Well, unless that's offensive interference, that was a defensive encroachment penalty or offside penalty, so Gannon with a free throw at them.
That would not nullify a 1st down. I do not believe that second flag.
Offsides. Number 55, defense. Offensive pass interference. Number 84. The penalty's all set. 3rd down.
I think it was 75. It was Fagan that they caught offside. But at the top of the street there, it was an interference call.
On Carter.
No, Hassan Jones.
Hassan
Jones, way at the top of the screen. And there's Kevin Fagan. He had jumped offside early to foul that play. Hassan was shaking his head on the far side of the field. I knew something was wrong. He looked too guilty.
So it's replay the down, 3rd and 5. 3 wide receivers to the right, and now Jones in motion. Gannon's throw, caught by Carter, 1st down. Into Niner territory, and Eric Davis on the stop, and a pickup of 17 yards for the Vikings.
Anthony Carter continues to make big plays.
And we want to welcome those of you who watched the Giants against the Patriots today. We're here at the Metrodome in Minnesota, where the 49ers, who trailed 10-0, lead 13-10 with 4.5 to go in the 4th quarter. But the Vikings have a 1st down on the Niners' 40-yard line. Rich Gannon running. He's got a 1st down and more. And Minnesota threatening again. And a gain of 22 yards. This is Dick Stockton with Merlin Olsen as the Niners try to wind up the season with a win.
As you watch this play develop, Gannon is going to be looking downfield. Turn it loose and we'll watch it develop downfield. Matt Millen, number 54. Stop it right there. Stop it right there. Here's Matt Millen. Lost track of where he was. And Gannon is able to get outside of him. Millen, had he picked up Gannon a little earlier, would have been over there to shut him down. It cost the Niners about an extra 15 yards.
1st down on the 13. Herschel Walker carry. Penalty marker down. Let's see if there's one thrown. Don Griffin makes the stop. No penalty as Walker gets to the 5.
I think we just got some cheerleaders confetti on the sideline.
Steve Young, playing the 2nd half, has put those 13 points on the board for the 49ers. Joe Montana played the entire 1st half, and the 49er offense struggled. Herschel Walker scored the lone touchdown for the Vikings and has had a fine all-round game. Jerry Rice with a touchdown catch. Needs 2 for 100 on the year. Second and goal after 2 and a first down. Second and 2. Alfred Anderson with the carry. And first and goal now for the Vikings.
Joe Montana played the whole first half of this game. They could not get any points on the board. They trailed 10-0 at the half. Jerry Burns talked to us yesterday about the importance of going out of this season on a positive note. Rich Gannon playing with the flu. There's all kinds of sub-stories in this one.
The Vikings have called a timeout, their first of the second half. Minnesota Vikings trying to salvage something of a dismal campaign. A loss would put them in last place in the division. Vikings took a lead. Fuad Reveiz with a field goal, 3-0 in the first quarter. Then Herschel Walker, who threw a pass, caught one and ran 9 yards, gave the Vikings a 10-0 lead. That was the score at halftime. Michael Kofer kicked 2 field goals in the second half, a 29-yarder in the third and a 35-yarder in the fourth. And then Jerry Rice, 14-yard reception from Steve Young, put the 49ers in front with 8:37 to go. But the Vikings have been on the march and have a first and goal to try to regain the lead with 3:16 to play.
This is the second long sustained drive of the day for the Minnesota Vikings. The last time they did this, they scored.
Alfred Anderson, touchdown.
Up over the top, Alfred Anderson driving inside right there. They get good surge from that offensive line up front. Kalis, Loudermilk, McDaniel right in the middle.
Fuad Reveiz will try to give the Vikings a 4-point lead. This is a big conversion. And it does. It gives them a 17-13 lead with 3:14 to go. Alfred Anderson with his second touchdown rushing of the season. The 49ers don't want to become only the second team in history to lose the last 2 games of the regular season and then win a Super Bowl. The Green Bay Packers, the only other club that managed to lose the last 2 regular season contests and then win the big one.
Well, I think, Dick, I think they might take it if they could do that. If they could get back there and join history. The important thing that they wanted to be able to do today was get back on a winning track, reestablish the momentum that they felt they lost last week against the New Orleans Saints. It really has not happened here today. You feel a letdown on that bench.
Well, the running game has not been there for the 49ers, and with their #1 team with Montana at the helm, and keep in mind that Roger Craig did not play today, did not suit up, neither did Ronnie Lott. On the artificial turf and the bad knees, they're saving both of them for the playoffs in 2 weeks. And a reminder, coming up next, the Detroit Lions with Barry Sanders looking to win the rushing crown against the Seattle Seahawks, trying to garner that #3 wild card position out west in the AFC. There's Roger Craig, who will be ready to go in 2 weeks.
A difficult year for that man. 49ers have actually rushed for 116 yards, 23 rushes on the day, but a lot of that has been yardage picked up by Steve Young, the quarterback, on scrambles.
Dexter Carter on #35 and Spencer Tillman, 23, go back for the 49ers. Fuad Reveiz kicking off. 49ers have 2 timeouts remaining. Niners have won 17 straight regular season road games. An NFL record that's on the line right here. And a booming kick into the end zone. And Carter will down it for a touchback. This game is presented by authority of the National Football League, and the CBS telecast is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of CBS, the Minnesota Vikings, and the National Football League is prohibited.
That's a surprise score. Wow. New England playing so horribly throughout the year, almost enough to hold the Giants around.
First down on the 20. And Young gets hit by Clark from behind. And that is the 6th sack of the game by the Vikings. 3 by Ken Clark.
Kenny Clark, the oldest defensive tackle in the NFL, 34 years old, a 13-year veteran, right around Jesse Sapolo, and Young stops so close to the line there's no cushion. Gets bumped by Harris Barton, and that was just enough to allow Ken Clark to swallow him up. Looked like Jonah and the whale there.
Loss of 3, second down and 13. 2:35 and running in the 4th quarter. Young's pass is caught by Jerry Rice, and Rice gets the first down beyond the 30-yard line. A gain of 14. Ray Berry on the stop, and the hurry-up offense for the Niners.
This defense operating again without Joey Browner, their Pro Bowl safety, who's on the sideline and injured.
They want to get a play in before the 2-minute warning. And here's Taylor. The clock will stop, but it would have anyway because of the 2-minute warning. But a gain of 13 yards. And even with Young, the 49ers are so dangerous in the 2-minute span at the end of games. Two minutes remaining, and the Vikings leading the Niners 17-13. The master of the 2-minute drill, Joe Montana, who played the first half today and threw an interception.
I think the best ever at 2-minute theatrics. But Steve Young, not doing a bad job right at this moment, has moved the team out and gotten them near midfield.
He's rushed for 53 yards, passed for 145. Young's pass is caught by Jerry Rice, and that's a milestone because Jerry Rice has now caught his 100th pass of the season, joining a select few.
Jerry Rice won't even take time to appreciate the honor. He's quickly out, and they're lined up, ready to go again.
On the 45-yard line.
Young will run.
Penalty marker down, and Dolman tries to chase Young, who threw the ball away at the last minute. But a penalty marker down at the line of scrimmage.
Guy McIntyre with that bad wrist, that broken hand.
Holding against the Niners.
It looked like McIntyre just simply couldn't control Ken Clark, who's had 3 sacks on the day. And playing with one hand is mighty tough.
That will stall this drive. Here is the referee, Tom White.
Holding. 62 offense, 10 yards, still first down.
You mentioned earlier Ricky Siglar practiced Wednesday and Thursday and almost started this game.
Here's Guy McIntyre right here. Here's Ken Clark. That's the matchup we want you to watch. Clark driving inside. McIntyre gets a hold of him and realizes he's going to get loose and simply tackles him with that good right arm.
First and 20, back to the Niners 45. Young flips it out to Henderson. Henderson may get back to the original line of scrimmage. Mike Merriweather defending on the play. A gain of 9, and the clock stops with 1:27 showing. The Niners still with 2 timeouts remaining.
49ers have such a good feel for the way they call their plays in this 2-minute drill. Not being greedy, picking up part of that yardage, knowing they've got 20 yards, now a little less or a little more than 10 to pick up on the second down. They may take another short pass and then expect to pick it up on a 3rd or a 4th down.
Niners need a touchdown. A field goal won't do it. Second down and 11. Young's pass is caught by Williams. Jamie Williams gets inside the 40, and that'll bring up 3rd down and short. Merriweather and Ray Berry in on the stop, and a timeout called by the 49ers. They have 1 left. Well, why would the mob hire a hitman to do away with Cousin Rose? Not just any Cousin Rose, a Mafia Don's Cousin Rose. Well, you guessed it, money. That's tonight on 60 Minutes. Following 60 Minutes, Murder, She Wrote. And then the CBS Sunday movie, Vestige of Honor, starring Gerald McRaney, Michael Gross, and Season Hubley. That's all coming up tonight, right here on CBS.
Look down on that field, you see some tired football players. Ken Clark, 71. He's had 3 wonderful sacks today.
While we have a moment, we want to tell you that the coordinating producers of the NFL on CBS are Charles H. Milton III and Ed Gorin. Today's telecast was produced by Richard Zients and directed by Andy Kindle. The associate director, Peter Macheska, and our broadcast associate, John Coleman. 3rd down and 4 on the 39. Steve Young, trapped, looking to run. And
I think he got it.
Very close.
Reaching out with that ball at the final second.
Al Noga made the stop, and it's all at the spot right now. But with 4th down or 1st down, it doesn't matter. The 49ers will go for it. Trailing by 4.
Excuse me, Dick. They did not give him the yardage that he reached for. He leaned out and dropped that ball out over the 35-yard line, but apparently his knee was down first. They moved it back. It looks to be short of 1st down yardage.
Young already has the play. By the way, the NFL Today, produced by Eric Mann and directed by Duke Struck. The senior producer of CBS Sports is David Winter, and the executive producer of CBS Sports is Ted Shaker. They're short. That's all they need. Here's the last play.
You'll wonder how Steve Young ever got out of traffic here. Ken Clark misses him there. He ducks under right there, Noga. But you see him reaching out with that ball. Could not pick it up, but they'll go for it here. 12 men on the field. Now they've only got 11.
4th and inches.
Quarterback sneak.
That's the call, and that's the 1st down.
Young, the ball carrier.
Steve Young.
49er first down.
And the clock continues to run with 45 seconds to go. They've already called that second play. 1 timeout left for the Niners. They need a touchdown, and now they stop it with 36 seconds. Young, by the way, had completed 7 passes in a row before he was forced to throw it into the turf. Want to remind you, coming up next, the second half of the CBS doubleheader. Lions against the Seattle Seahawks. Cincinnati winning today, so Seattle will need other help from Houston to lose, and a victory for them to hang in there. Now, what do you think the Vikings are expecting from the Niners?
Well, they've got to go pretty deep here soon. Not much time left, but again, they've shown their patience. I expect now, if they can get somebody deep, they'll take the shot for the end zone.
2nd down and 10. And up the middle, the caught by John Taylor. He'll get in. Touchdown, Niners. A 34-yard touchdown pass to John Taylor, and it disappointment on the Minnesota side, and the 49ers lead with 29 seconds remaining.
Steve Young dropping back. The key here, he's got enough time to wait for the crossing pass to develop. And there's the crossing man right there, John Taylor, finding room in that secondary. Nobody home. They'd gone deep with the deep receivers, and Taylor cutting across found the open area.
Penalty marker down. The kick is good. Last game for Scott Studwell, a real warrior at middle linebacker for all these years, 15.
A throwback to the great linebackers of this game of football who've played in all decades. A man who's left his mark on football here in Minnesota.
We have encroachment, number 99, Seeing as how the ball was not snapped, that penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
And that's not a good penalty for the Vikings because they want to get into field goal range with 29 seconds left to try to tie this game.
Here's Taylor on the bottom right here, just going to go down and across. But the key here again, the fact that Young is able to hang in that pocket. Yeah, we'll get back to it after we get a chance to watch this.
And Kofer's conversion is good, and it's
Kick is good.
20-17 now. John Taylor with his 7th touchdown catch of the year, playing with a sprained left ankle.
Here we go with John Taylor. We said he'll go down and he'll just loop across here. And of course, if you've got heat on the quarterback, he can't wait for that crossing pattern to get open. Taylor gets down, makes the break right there, and look at him as he gets away from the zone coverage. Audrey McMillan, number 20, no, Ken Stills, 27, the man who should have been there to jump him, was not there.
This half alone, 58 yards rushing and 205 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and a far cry from a week ago for Steve Young, who couldn't get it done against the Saints, but is getting it done here in the second half against the Vikings. Young, by the way, was 6 of 7 for 88 yards, plus the touchdown pass on that drive.
Well, he felt last week that that game would be his audition, his way of saying to teams around the league, I can start. I want a chance to go somewhere and play. I think this second half has certainly been a much better showcase for his talents.
And the Niners drove the field in a hurry, 80 yards in 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
David Huffman, we got a quick look at him. He and Scott Studwell, he was activated for this game, and along with Studwell will be 2 Vikings who played in 3 decades. The only Vikings who played in 3 decades.
Quite an honor.
Survivors.
Herschel Walker back deep, but I doubt very much that Mike Kofer wants to kick the ball anywhere near him.
We may see a squiver here. Nope, he's going deep.
And it's Walker with a chance, a yard in the end zone, and won't even run it out. You know, the 49ers have been covering kicks, both punts and kickoffs, very well today. And the 49ers, who have made a living out of late comebacks, have outscored the Vikings 17-7 and 20-7 in the second half, 17-7 in this final quarter.
They have found a way to turn up the heat at the end of the games and at the end of the season. But the heat is not as high right now as George Seifert would like it to be. The sloppiness of the early part of this game will be hard to forget.
Well, the Vikings, with 29 seconds left, just trying to get in field goal range. 2 timeouts left. They're on their 20.
Hassan Jones, the man they'd like to find here. He's the great leaper.
Gannon completes the pass to Jones and knocked out of bounds by Lewis, stopping the clock. 14 yards on that play.
Forced out by Lewis. That's a Viking
Loss for the
down.
Vikings will give them a last place finish in the NFC Central, and no one had anticipated that when this year started.
A shocker for all. Of course, you couldn't have anticipated as well the kind of football they would play here today, looking at them earlier in the season either. In their losing streaks, and then their winning streak, and then they're losing again.
First down on the 34. Only 3 men rushing on it. Gannon, 8 men back. Gannon going deep and throwing it away.
Gannon's pass is incomplete.
Charles Haley right there in his face.
So the question for the 49ers, who now will have a week off before preparing for the divisional playoff, do you think that they achieved what they wanted to do today, Merlin?
Well, they go out of this game with an apparent victory, and that was certainly important to them. But the quality of the football they played early, particularly under Montana in the first half, was a bit disgusting.
2nd and 10 for the Vikings.
They didn't get anything going offensively. They did with Steve Young, but Montana's going to be their guy.
Montana's obviously going to lead him into the playoffs, and I think he has to be concerned, although he's a quarterback who has proven himself so many times that maybe he steps right back in 2 weeks from now and goes to work.
Gannon going deep again. Incomplete.
Gannon's pass is incomplete.
Pass that time intended for Anthony Carter. Hassan Jones also in the neighborhood, and now only 7 seconds remain.
Now you see Ronnie Lott. He's calling his own plays from the sideline. George Seifert, I'm sure, will use the negatives from this game to motivate his team. He's got a long time to sit and prepare. They've got a week to get ready. They'll start game plans for several opponents, which gives them, I think, a big advantage. And going out of here with the win, even though there are some negatives to it, is a very big plus.
3rd down and 10. Gannon going deep for Chris Carter. And the other thing is that it doesn't appear as if the Niners suffered any injuries of note, and that could be right at the top.
That was the number 2 on his list. Win the game and go home healthy.
So the 49ers continue to win on the road, 18 in a row. And so for Merlin Olsen, this is Dick Stockton saying so long from the Metrodome. The final score, the 49ers 20 and the Vikings 17. Stay with us for game 2 of our